Snapsies.
Ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, children of all ages, the Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's Friday. Gotta get down on Friday. Everybody's working for the weekend.
You're trying to break something today. I mean, you just you reared back and you let that thing go. Like, let's test these things.
Man, I like to make sure we're pinging needles over there.
It's my job to make sure we don't.
Let's get loud. I've been told via one email and 2 tweets this week that there are at least 3 people out there, Lonzo, that would enjoy my show if I would stop yelling so much. Add Diesel into the mix, that's 4. And I would just like to say, no, I can't stop yelling. That's just how I talk.
That's how he brings the energy. That's how he brings the funk, yo.
Yeah, man. Look, we get to noon, right? We get to midday. It's lunchtime. You got a little break from work. It's Friday afternoon. You've been there for 4 days in a row. Heck, for some of you that work weekends, it's Wednesday for you. We get to the middle of the week. We get to the middle of the day at the end of the week, excuse me. You got a few hours left to go. Don't you want a little boost? Don't you want a little audio Red Bull? A little noise to get you hype for the back half of the weekend of the last day of the week? Of course you do. And that's what we do here on the show, ladies and gentlemen. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. Hello, Upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. Hello, world. It is great to be back with you. I am Rob. Directly across from me on the other side of the glass, both literally and metaphorically, the great one, Lonzo, at the helm, in charge of button switches, levers, knobs, gears, pulleys, and other simple machinery required to keep us sounding as good as we do. And man, do we sound good.
You know,
not to toot my own horn.
Yeah, well, we sound so good, we sound award-winning.
Just in case you haven't heard, ladies and gentlemen, it's true. It's damn true.
And will that ever go away? Probably not, even if we're told to stop doing it, because, it's
I don't know
true.
that I can help it at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would be able to help not mentioning it.
There is one way, and it's hard to fathom, and that would be if we didn't win this year. Although we're still award-winning, we just didn't win this year, but we're going to win this year, so it's going to be 2 times. I can't wait to get to 5 times.
When we get to 5, it's over. It's over. Ladies and gentlemen, we have got a day lined up for you. We got a conference championship weekend ahead of us. You know we're going full and heavy into the conference championship weekend. We'll tell you who we think's punching a ticket to the Super Bowl later on in the show. Coming up at 1:20 this afternoon, the voice of the Furman Paladins, Dan Scott, going to join us to talk a little Furman shooty hoops. The Dins on the Basketball Power Index on a bit of an escalator as of recently. We're going to talk about what's been going on with Furman. Big win against Wofford last Saturday in Wofford. First time in a hot minute they've gotten a dub over the Terriers in the Berg. So we're going to break that down for you with Dan Scott, voice of the Furman Paladins, coming up later on in the show. Hope you'll join us for that. Obviously, we got Twitter trending topics coming up at the end of the show. And since I once again forgot to do it on Tuesday, Lonzo's favorite segment coming up at 2:20 when we end the week with a little faces and heels.
Go ahead. I'm the heel for the entire thing. I'm not going to say I hate that segment. I just
don't like it at all.
It has absolutes, which I don't enjoy. If you're one of those people who can't pick either this or that, then this segment is a problem for you.
I also want to tell you, Lonzo, that, yesterday we were talking about picking up ticks to go see A.E. Dub in Columbia on March 30th. And, my buddy Joe B., who was the one that was getting tickets for us, texted me this morning. He heard the segment yesterday. He heard you saying, because I said I assumed you weren't going to go, then you, I don't know, screwed up or not by saying, well, now I want to go just to prove you wrong. Well, I got good news. You have a ticket now as well, Lonzo.
All right, let me just say, set the record straight. I want to go. I wanted to go the entire time. It's just I don't want to commit right away until, I look and see what's going on. And for some reason, I thought it was next week, but it's not. It's not until March. So even I thought about this after our conversation earlier. Yes, I want to go. I want the ticket. I want to go.
Good.
There we
got
go.
It.
But the question is, did I get it because I guilted you on the air?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. I wasn't in charge of that decision. Texas in says, some of us work 7 days a week. Bring the heat. If I wanted NPR, I'd tune in to them. Well, welcome to the Rob Brown Show, ladies and gentlemen. It's delightful to have you this afternoon as we talk athletic competition across the country. I am Rob Brown, Lonzo at the helm this afternoon, and we appreciate you joining us.
This is going to be the only time I allow this, but if you go NPR voice, just call me Gerald because it just fits better. It just does. Lonzo doesn't work. If anyone in NPR said Lonzo, they probably would have an aneurysm or something.
At the helm, Gerald in charge of buttons and switches today.
See, it just works with the NPR voice.
Coming up in the next break, a bit of smooth Icelandic hypno jazz.
We getting some Bjork?
I would try Icelandic hypno jazz. Why not?
I know Bjork's not hypno jazz, but Bjork is from Iceland, if I recall.
Hey, let's do that thing we do to start the show. What do you say?
Let's do lunch.
This is a very nutritious lunch. All the food groups are represented.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
It is time for the lunch breakdown. The 3 things you need to know before you go start talking sports with your friends, family, coworkers, or the dog, whoever you spend your lunch break with. When you gather around the lunch table today, this will be the scuttlebutt. These will be the things you are discussing in the world of athletic competition. Item number 1 on the lunch breakdown today. Rafael Nadal is now within 1 victory of a men's record 21st Grand Slam singles title. Between him and number 21 is Daniil Medvedev in the Aussie Open. The final is on Sunday. Medvedev is chasing history of his own. He beat Stefanos Tsitsipas 7-6, 4-6, 6-4, 6-1 in a very heated semifinal earlier this morning. The U.S. Open champion aiming to be the first man in the Open era to win his 2nd Grand Slam title at the next major tournament. Nadal advanced to the final in the Australian Open for the 6th time, knocked off Matteo Berrettini 6-3, 6-2, 3-6, 6-3 in a mostly lopsided contest. Medvedev has a more tempestuous and challenging run to go back-to-back in Aussie Open finals. He had to deal with a hostile crowd in his 2nd round win, had to save a match point in rally from 2 sets down in his quarterfinal win that took nearly 5 hours, then regained his composure after an outburst in the 2nd set of the semifinals. The Russian yelled at the chair umpire in the changeover after serving a double fault to concede a late break, getting a code violation for a, quote, visible obscenity, end quote, that he made when he made a gesture with his arm to the crowd who were clearly in the corner of Tsitsipas. He demanded his opponent be cautioned for receiving coaching from his father in Greek. From the stands, Medvedev returned after the converted 3rd set point to level the match. He again urged the umpire to give the French Open runner-up a code violation. Then he took a 5-minute break, ended up coming out of that break hot, took control in the 3rd set, and reeled off the last 5 games after the caution was correctly eventually levied against his opponent. Nadal's run to a 29th Grand Slam final has been relatively normal for the champ. After the last point of his semifinal match, he kind of stopped and threw the fist pump up, And really, that was it. And it all arrived in Australia, not knowing how long he would last after months off the tour, dealing with a serious foot injury and then a bout of COVID-19. He skipped Wimbledon after losing in the French Open semifinals to Novak Djokovic and did not play at all since last August. Nadal said every day has been an issue in terms of problems on the foot. Doubt still here, probably for the rest of my career. But for me, it's amazing to just compete and play tennis at this high level, facing the most important players in the world, end quote. So the men's final will be on Sunday of the Aussie Open. Item number 2 on the lunch breakdown, ladies and gentlemen, I have been complaining about boxing quite a bit the last couple of days, waiting for this week, which was big in terms of getting our next bout of heavyweight fights set up. Well, we have now got that deal. We were waiting to see what was going to happen with Anthony Joshua, Dylan White, and Alexander Usyk, all of whom were kind of playing a little strategery game around each other to find out who would fight who, win, and for how much. And we were waiting to see what the buyout was going to be for Anthony Joshua to step aside because he's got a rematch clause with Alexander Usyk and allow Usyk to fight Tyson Fury. We were also waiting to see if Dylan White would take step-aside money. It's been mandated that White is to be Tyson Fury's next opponent, and there was talk that if Anthony Joshua accepted stand-aside money, that Dylan White may do the same, setting up a lineage fight, a unification bout between Fury and Alexander Usyk. Well, both Joshua and White yesterday refused to take step-aside money, so now those fights are set, and frankly, Lonzo, at least for me, I'm getting what I want now because Anthony Joshua will get his rematch against Alexander Usyk, and Dylan White, ranked probably the 4th best of these 4, will go up against the 1 seed Tyson Fury. We effectively have now, Lonzo, a 4-entry bracket tournament to see who the best of the heavyweights is right now because Usyk has one of the belts. Fury has the other. Both of them will face an underdog. Whoever wins each of those 2 will have a belt, and then we'll unify them in the final of that de facto bracket. As a boxing fan, man, I am in for this because I got to think if you, like Lonzo is, are a Tyson Fury guy, there's at least some interest in the Joshua Usyk fight because the winner of that is Tyson Fury's next opponent.
Usyk is just a head of wet lettuce. I don't
pack of wet lettuce. The whole the whole pack.
Yeah. Well, no. Them as a group are a pack of wet lettuce. So each one would be a head of wet lettuce. Anyway, Usyk has the interim belt. The real belt is around, the waist of Tyson Fury, and it doesn't matter who comes through. He can beat them all.
I mean, boxing's great because he might not. Deontay Wilder put Fury down twice in their fight. Anthony Joshua, I don't want to say he has more power than Deontay, but he's got more stamina than Deontay Wilder does. He's a threat into deeper rounds. But then again, Fury gets stronger as fights go on. This is why I love it. This is what I wanted. It's exactly what I wanted, man. Exactly what I wanted. All right, let's go with item number 3 on the lunch breakdown. I told you that I wanted 7 points out of this round of World Cup qualifying for the American men's national soccer team. There are 3 World Cup qualifying matches. Last night was the first one, and Anthony Robinson celebrated his goal for the United States that gave them a 1-0 victory and an opening 3 points in this trio of games. It was a relatively quiet opening half for the Americans, although there were 2 opportunities which did not find the net for the Yanks. It was in the 52nd minute that Robinson broke the deadlock. There was a loose ball at the back post, and he hammered it past Mario Gonzalez, the El Salvador goalkeeper. It was a 1-0 victory for the Americans. A 29-degree night at Lower.com Field boosted the U.S. to 18 points. With 5 games left in the qualifying window, the U.S. is 1 point behind Canada. Mexico also got a win, so they elevate and stay 1 point behind the Americans. Panama got a draw in the opening. So they stay at 14. Costa Rica has 12. Jamaica 7. El Salvador stays at 6. And Honduras now has 3. Robinson said, quote, Lonzo, if you needed a reason to find a soccer player to attach yourself to, he said after they talked to him in the post-game presser about his goal, somebody said, how did you feel, Anthony? You were out there doing backflips. And he said, quote, Lonzo, it's weird being called Anthony. I prefer being called Jedi, end quote. He is a big Star Wars guy and has demanded that his nickname after the game-winning goal last night be Jedi.
I'm down for that. Absolutely down for that. And if you can do backflips, you're already part way there.
He really is. Really is. Again, good win. Anthony Robinson, Jedi Robinson.
See, you almost did it.
You saved us 3 points, Bubba. I'll call you Jedi for a week. He said, really happy to get this win. This is the one we've been preparing for. It wasn't the prettiest game, and there were times when we played good football, when we just had to kind of take our chances one step closer to our goal, qualifying for the World Cup. The U.S. now has an opportunity to take first place in the table, as on Sunday, the Americans will take on the team that is number 1 on the table. The Canadians, again, sitting with 19 points, 1 point ahead of the Americans, 18. This one, however, will be in Quebec, Canada, and it is going to be gnarly cold. It is going to be gnarly cold, and we'll see if that gives an advantage to our maple syrup loving friends up north. Then, of course, they will be in St. Paul, Minnesota on Wednesday to finish up the trio. Qualifying ends in March with trips to Mexico and Costa Rica, bookending a matchup with Panama, which will be down in Orlando. The top 3 nations in the CONCACAF table will qualify for Qatar 2022, and the 4th place team advances in a playoff against the Oceania champion, which will likely be New Zealand. Not a lot of prowess out of anywhere other than Robinson's goal. Christian Pulisic and Weston McKennie looked a little bit out of sorts. It was England-born Fulham defender Robinson who supplied the goal for the crucial win. Berhalter praised his versatility from the left fullback position that requires him to really dial it in on both ends, and he did just that. So the Americans take a full 3 away from match number 1 against El Salvador and get set now to take on America's hat on Sunday.
I am a little curious, and for those playing at home who are probably also curious, at what point do you go from cold to gnarly cold? Is there like a window in there?
I think gnarly requires the addition of like wind, snow, blizzard,
Gotcha.
hail.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if it's 3 degrees, it's friggin' cold.
So
But if it's 3 degrees and it's like sleeting or snowing or hailing or very blustery wind, I would say at that point it's gnarly cold.
So my entire childhood was gnarly.
I mean, you had teachers throwing desks at you. Yes.
Well, there's that. Yeah.
Yes. Let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute from right now, let's go ahead and start talking conference championship weekend. Lonzo and I are going to tell you who we got moving on to the Super Bowl for the rest of this hour. Then in the 1 o'clock hour, some college basketball talk. Dan Scott, voice of the Furman Paladins at 1:20. We'll do a weekend local sports update as well. Then faces and heels at 2:20. Twitter trending topics to wrap up the show. It's going to be busy. Hope you'll stick around. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo, and you are listening to the Star Award-winning Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Short break. So don't go anywhere.
Top Icelandic jazz artist. Nice. I just made that up off the top of my head.
As is the case a lot of times, one of us says something, we got to look it up to see if it actually exists. And yeah, now I want to listen to some of it. Who knows? What if you actually become a fan of it? I knew Bjork was from Iceland. I'm just wondering what her style of music is considered. Oh, here we go. Alternative rock. Yeah, I can see it.
I'll give her alternative. Let's say rock. Then again, I've only probably heard 2 Bjork songs, so who knows?
One of her hits was real pop like.
I mean, she's had some radio play.
I don't know. I'm thinking this promo was written by someone who has a Kansas City lean to them because they said upstart Cincinnati Bengals. I'm guessing the boss wrote the promo. That was the joke. Although he's more of a Cowboys fan, but still.
So I have two hilarious stories about the NFC Championship game that I found so far this morning. First one, ladies and gentlemen, and quite the laugh at this. Lonzo, if I told you that tickets to the NFC Championship game were going for $498.23 right now, what would your reaction to that be?
It's kind of cheap, actually.
That's my thought. What if, Lonzo, I told you that was the price that you had to pay for a parking spot to go to the NFC Championship game?
And this game is being held where?
In Los Angeles.
I would say that's probably about right. From what I've heard,
$98.23. And that is to park about a quarter mile away at a hospital. So the NFC Championship game, the NFL is there because they're already dressing up SoFi Stadium for the Super Bowl, right? So the NFL has actually eaten up a huge chunk of parking at SoFi Stadium, and the rest of the parking is effectively being used for those who bought parking rights with their season tickets.
You don't think this is another case of trying to make sure that the fans from somewhere else don't show up?
I don't, and here's why. Because this is very interesting. Remember the other day we told you that the LA Rams had taken some steps to try and limit the number of San Francisco 49ers fans that were going to be in the building, right? Up to and including instructing resellers like Ticketmaster not to sell tickets to anyone whose credit card residency was not in LA County, was not within a handful of miles of the stadium. Welp, they went through that. There were some situations. As a matter of fact, there's a story in Yahoo Sports about a cat by the name of Shane Stern. Shane is a lifelong 49ers fan who lives in Los Angeles. Well, on Saturday morning, Stern put up a tweet on Twitter. He goes by the handle at Shane Stern, but his little display name is 49ers guy. So Shane put up a tweet after the public sales of tickets were restricted to Inglewood, California, and the surrounding greater LA region. He's a 49ers guy who lives in LA, and he said on Twitter, hey, look, if you would like a ticket to this game through the public market, you Venmo me the money, I'll buy it on my credit card for you and get it put in your name. Shane had about 500 people take him up on that offer in the first couple of hours after that policy got posted.
Hope Shane's got some cash.
Well, no, he said, look, you Venmo me the money. I'll throw it at my credit card. I'll buy you your ticket, right?
Okay, so.
And so he bought a few hundred tickets for 49ers fans. Well, and this is what's really, really interesting. 49ers fans from outside the Southern California region evaded the Rams ticket blockade by asking LA-based friends and relatives to buy their tickets, either by using PayPal or a lot of them, Lonzo, basically went and bought single-use credit cards, like bank cards, like gift cards, right? That they registered to somebody's house in Los Angeles. StubHub said that the NFC Championship game is on track to be the best-selling playoff game in the ticket resale company's 22-year history. More than 3/4 of the tickets purchased on StubHub have gone to California residents. And they said about 57% of them hail from SoCal, about 43% from NorCal. Well, according to Vivid Seats, and Vivid Seats is another secondary market ticket site, but one of the things that Vivid Seats does, Lonzo, is they track, they use social media trends. So they use like hashtags and Instagram stories and whatnot. They use social media trends to try to find out and make guesses on the makeup of crowds and, you know, who's going, how they're going, et cetera. And they use that as market research to figure out the best way to sell tickets for the most money that they can get. Well, Vivid Seats right now, Lonzo, using the prognostications that they use, they say the average NFL crowd is about 85 to 90% in favor of the home team in the conference championships. It's about, it's usually, if you don't say and do anything, about 85 to 90% in favor of the home team. Vivid Seats right now says that they are estimating that the 49ers will make up what percentage of fans in the crowd on Sunday, Lonzo? What percentage of the crowd will be 49ers fans?
I'm going to go 35%.
35%. According to Vivid Seats, Lonzo, 35% is what the Rams fans will be. Vivid Seats says that through a variety of methods, they are currently projecting through their sales numbers and following social media patterns and running it through the algorithms. Vivid Seats is projecting that 65% of the fans in attendance at SoFi Stadium on Sunday will be San Francisco 49ers fans. You guys see now why I said that Goodell working so hard to get a team in LA was a freaking joke? This team's in the NFC Championship game. This team is playing for its second Super Bowl berth in 4 years. This team is a favorite going into this game, and they have managed to allow 65% of the seats estimated. And we'll see. Again, these numbers are potentially skewed. But according to Vivid Seats, the LA Rams fans, and I'm air quoting that, LA Rams fans have allowed San Francisco 49ers fans to acquire 65% of the seats in the stadium. Lonzo, this is a 49ers home game now.
See, I think part of the problem with the way the Rams handled this, they dared some people who probably were like, yeah, you know, I'm just going to watch it at home they don't want me there? Okay. I'm going to spend some money and I'm going to find a way to get there. So it's definitely, if the makeup is how they're saying, it's backfiring big time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, we talked about Joe Burrow earlier in the week. We said, hey, Joey B, probably not the best idea to call out Arrowhead as being cold.
I think I just saw one of my relatives on TV. So, yeah.
I mean, it was in Ohio.
Yeah, and he had long hair and his shirt was off. So,
it was in Ohio.
Looked like one of my cousins, possibly.
We're watching the recap from the game last night as the Americans, 8 shots on target, the first half, 0 goal. It was like 28 degrees, man. No fun.
That's fairly warm, all things considered. So, in this day and age, in the era of the troll, when you come out and you do stuff like this, you are daring people to find a way to defy you. So why do that?
The best way, Lonzo and I've told you this about us all the time. The best way to get people, especially on the internet, to do a thing is to tell them that you don't want them to do the thing. You tell them that you don't want them to do the thing, and they're going to do the hell out of the thing. When LA went out, first off, let me start with this before I get to that point. First off, LA fans are already fickle, all right? LA fans are already fickle. I would have expected this to be a 50-50 split anyway. But when the Rams started calling out one of the prestigious franchises, right? I don't know if you've ever been out to San Francisco. 49ers fans don't play. They are as passionate as any fan base in the United States. There may not be as many of them, but they are as passionate as any NFL fan base in any other city. They love the Santa Clara 49ers, right? They love them. So they were already going to turn out. I don't know what I don't know how far it is from San Francisco to LA. According to Google Maps, Lonzo, take you 6 hours on I-5 South to get from San Francisco to LA. I'll tell you right now, if the Saints were playing in the NFC Championship in a stadium 6 hours from me, Lonzo, I'm going. All right? I'm going. 100% I'm going. You just told LA, one of the most passionate fan bases in America, the San Francisco 49ers, that they can't have tickets. Oh boy, howdy, do they find out tickets. To the point now that, again, Vivid Seats is estimating that 65% of that stadium is going to be in red and gold. You know what? Good. Roger, your baby, your sweet little swaddling LA football child, you know, that thing that you decided to make the hallmark of your career, they are being outsold 2-1 in their own stadium. Another L for Goodell. Let's take a break. When we come back, there's a petition going around on the internet right now about the Super Bowl. I am going to sign it live on air. I'm curious if Lonzo will as well. And I want your thoughts. I'll tell you what it is and who started it. It's kind of interesting. When we come back on the Rob Brown Show, this is ESPN Upstate. Let's see. Joe Burrow's a success because of Chase, just like LSU. Joe Burrow's kind of a dime dropper. He is better because of Jamar Chase, but I suspect that you give Joe Burrow any NFL quality wide receiver, and Joe Burrow's going to be just fine. Are we going to Turbo Wrestling tonight? So unfortunately, I'm not, Kevin. I tried to work it in, but there is a Swamp Rabbits game tonight that I'm going to be working at. So unfortunately, Steven says deviled egg sandwiches. Yes or no? Absolutely. You a deviled egg guy?
Oh, I love deviled eggs.
Oh, yeah.
I've never tried a sandwich. It's basically what it's
Squeeze deviled eggs into bread.
yeah.
They've already got mayo and chipotle and aioli on top of them.
It's an egg salad sandwich.
Yeah.
You just have the
It's
eggs
just
in
eggs
there.
unshredded.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, I'm a big fan. Absolutely.
would you put cheese on that though?
It depends on what it like. Does the deviled egg have like aioli and the cream sauce on it already, or is it just deviled eggs? Just deviled eggs. Yeah, I'll put cheese on that.
Would you toast? Would you toast the bread?
If what?
Would you toast the
No.
bread?
No.
See, I think you have to toast the bread depending on the consistency of the deviled eggs, because if they're a little mushy, it would cause, and if they're heavy, it will cause the bread to fall out in the middle. But if it's toasted, it's gonna give you some consistency where it won't fall away. And toasted and untoasted, I'm going toasted almost every single time.
I like toast. I rarely toast my sandwiches. Rarely. Got real heated with cautions and visible obscenities. Yeah, I watched a little bit of that semifinal match. And yes, it did. I love when tennis gets angry. Like golf is the only sport that's less of a conflict sport than tennis, right?
I've never heard the term visible obscenities before, and it's okay.
Yes, you have. Well, you may have
No.
not. But you know what it
I
is
know
as well.
what it is, but I've never heard it termed that way. For what?
To blow my nose. Do we have
I have.
or a napkin?
No,
Paper
I have
towel?
clean it. I have tissues
Do you?
and
Can I borrow one?
in my sick bag. That's what this is.
Thank you, sir.
Well, we got blood. You missed. Oh,
You know how sometimes you get a bat loose in the cave
yeah.
and then the bat hangs on? And it's like, I know what's going to happen is I'm going to take a breath and it's going to go, and it's going to make me throw up on air.
I kind of want to see that.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is ESPN Upstate. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Glad to have you. I'm Rod. He's Zoe. There's a petition going around right now on the internet. A teenager in Florida has started a petition that grabbed over 100,000 signatures in its first day. Young man by the name of Frank Ruggeri, Ruggeri, Frank Ruggeri. Frank is a young man who said, and very wise beyond his years, Lonzo, he said that the Super Bowl being on Sunday is dumb and we should move it to Saturday. And he started a petition at change.org. Over 100,000 people have signed this petition so far. And I would just like to say, there is no need for a petition. I'd bet you 2-1 Americans want the Super Bowl moved to Saturday if they had the choice. Like if we decided to put it up to a true democracy and everybody got a vote, majority wins. Super Bowl's moving to Saturday.
2-1.
Yes.
I
2/3 of Americans.
I doubt it.
I would take that bet. Why would you not want it on Saturday night?
First of all, because I don't drink, so it doesn't bother me. It's
gonna do anything. The Super Bowl Eastern time ends at 12:30 in the morning.
It has absolutely to do with drinking. It does. Hey, you want to drink? That's on you. That's fine. I mean, you're an adult. You do what you want to do. I'm not talking about you specifically, although it does apply. When it comes down to it, this is why people don't. This is why people want it moved to Saturday so they can have their hangover on Sunday. If you don't drink, then the Super Bowl being on Sunday is no big deal.
Even if I didn't, it's still better on Saturday. Because granted, for us, it's awesome because our job is to talk about the Super Bowl. We are doing what everybody else wants to do on Monday, but can't because they got real jobs. Lonzo and I, with this job, yeah, we absolutely get to come in here and do what y'all want to do and make money doing it, right? But even if I didn't drink, it's still better on Saturday because it gives us Sunday to come down off the Super Bowl high.
All right, so NFL football traditionally played on Sunday. Yeah, I know it plays on Mondays and Thursdays
and Saturdays.
No, so only a couple times during the end of the season. So I football's for Sunday. So I generally don't sign petitions anyway, but I would not sign this.
I'm gonna say straight up, this is one of Lonzo's favorite things that I say. I don't care that it's tradition to play the NFL games on Sunday. Put it on Saturday. If there was no college football and there was only NFL football, I'd want that on Saturdays. But Saturday is for college, Sundays for pros. I'm good with that.
How much
the regular season?
With the outcry from a certain sect of people who want it moved to Saturday every single year, nothing has even come close to making that happen. But this kid, this is cool. He's going to learn that for the most part, petitions don't work. So it's a valuable learning lesson for him.
Golly, the emotional Hoover is back in the building.
How many can you think of a petition that worked?
Off the top of my head.
I'm not being mean here, and it's cool that he got this thing going and people signed it. To what end, though? Did he really believe? And maybe he did, and maybe he's going to be heartbroken when he finds out that it didn't work. But that's life, also. You put your heart into stuff sometimes. You put your all into it. You have the belief that everyone's on your side, and then you fail, and it's not your fault. It just happens. So it's a valuable learning lesson.
Yes.
Dust yourself off.
You're
move on
about
to
to
something
learn,
else.
kid. You're about to learn the golden rule, which is
It's money, man.
he who has the gold makes the rules. And if Roger in the NFL won it on Sunday, even if it's better for every American.
You're throwing it on Roger. The NFL has been around for a while. It's
I know.
not just him,
I know.
and it hasn't
But he
changed.
has the power to go, you know what? We should at least look at it. Texas says, same with the blanking CFB championship. A Monday is worse than Sunday. It sucks to stay up till 12:30 when I got to work the next day regardless.
You know, as someone, I did a morning show for 14 years, so I know what it's like to have to go to bed early and stay up late for that sort of thing, but I don't do that anymore. And for the most part, a lot of people work 9 to 5. You're staying up till 11:30 or midnight anyway. I think you're complaining just to complain, unless you're complaining because you can't drink on that night and you're upset about having a hangover the next day.
First off,
That's the only thing that makes sense here. What time you go to bed, Rob?
like 4 a.m.
See?
like most mornings.
See, I am a great 30 to midnight every night and get up about 10 till 7. So, I mean, you know, I can't sympathize.
No, you don't want to sympathize.
Oh, no. I can't sympathize.
I'm gonna tell you straight up. I mean, you can place it on Rob likes to knock a few back during the old Super Bowl, which is true. I'm not arguing it's not true. But to say the only reason it's better on Saturday is alcoholing, I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to disagree. We want to talk about the Super Bowl. How great would it be to watch the Super Bowl on Saturday night? Then everybody gets to sleep in everybody who doesn't have kids gets to sleep in the next day. Then the next day, we all go out to brunch on a Sunday and go, how about that Super Bowl? As opposed to the next day going to the office and going, yes, Mr. Smith, your IRA has $73,000 in it. And if you make a deduction at this time, there will be a penalty included. When I just want to talk about Patrick Mahomes. Texas says the USL2 GVL petition got so many signatures that a USL official came to Greenville, which got the ball rolling. That became the Greenville Triumph.
Thank you.
That's a petition that worked.
That's a successful petition.
Yep.
But that's a petition that's involving an area, not the entire country
Yes,
or
the U.S. is in an area.
the entire world. It's really the entire
No,
world.
It's not up against $1 billion machine that goes, our traditions are more important than what you want. Texas says either you make it Saturday or this useless president can have something good and make Super Bowl Monday a federal holiday. Let's blanking riot. You know what? I accept Super Bowl Sunday, Lonzo. If Monday becomes a federal holiday, I'm cool with that. Let's make Monday another federal holiday. I'll take Monday off so that we can play golf and talk about the Super Bowl. Except us, we would still work it because it's Super Bowl Monday.
I think you're trying to find ways to make me sound old. Because I'm okay with tradition, but really it comes down to I sincerely believe this has to do with alcohol. It does.
You're telling me the only thing I care about is drinking. That's it. Right?
No,
You're boiling me
do
down.
Do you 7 p.m.
I mean, the girlfriend goes to bed at like 8. It's weird. She'll stay up for the Super Bowl.
At what time does she get up?
Like 6:30, but she has one of them their real jobs.
Yeah, and
she's got to like get ready.
And some people can sleep more than 6 or 7 hours.
Apparently, she's not allowed to just throw on a hockey jersey and get in the car. You know,
that's weird.
It's weird. I love
this.
So
weird. It is.
Texter says, try 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and stay up until 12:30 on National Championship night. That's rough getting up. More rough the next morning.
Again, I worked a morning show for 14 years. Watched the Super Bowl every year. Didn't whine about it the next morning when I got up and talked about it on the air. So, you can only compare things to how you deal with them yourself. And it's my story. It's not your story.
Lonzo's calling me a whining wino right now.
Never said it. My understanding, you're not into wine, so I could be wrong.
Said, I am into wine, very into wine.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm a Cabernet guy.
Would you say you're into wine so much that you're a wino?
No.
Okay. All right.
No, because it's not like my go-to. Wine's, hey, I made you a nice dinner. Let's have a glass of wine.
You know, my definition of a wino is a guy in a trench coat, like sleeping on a park bench. But, you know,
Texter says,
thank you, Jethro Tull.
Texter says, now the truth comes out, Zoe. Rob wants you to go to Columbia for wrestling so he can have a DD.
I spent a good part of my 20s being that.
Yeah.
And the cool part about it is everybody had a better car than mine, and I got to drive all their cars.
Not anymore. Texter says, okay, fine, Lonzo. It's 70% drinking and 30% having to work at 5 a.m.
See,
you did it to yourself mid-sentence?
No, the mic is
Oh, the mic died. Oh, well. Well, I'll be carrying it the rest of the way, I guess. See, Lonzo?
there we go.
Nope. Don't subject the people to this anymore.
No, I made them fix the mic where people move it around so much that it's about to fall off and somehow it messed with it. No, as I stated at the beginning of this, 14 years of being up at 4:30 to come to work, to be to work by 5 a.m. So you can say that I've done it and I was okay. Was I a little tired? Yeah, but you know what? I got over it. I went home and took a nap.
But what if we just made it to where you didn't have to and you could just go to work like regular on Monday instead of having once a year to know your Monday's going to suck?
You know, if it changes, great. For all get drunk and have their hangover day on Sunday. Good for you guys. But as far if it changes, it changes. And you know what? I won't protest and go.
You have boiled my argument down to, I want to get drunk. That's not it. You know, the rough estimate is about 17.2 million people call into work on Monday after the Super Bowl.
You know, all right, that one I did
That
do.
was on you.
Yeah, that one I did do. I've heard this about, you know, what would everyone think, Rob? What would Monday after the Super Bowl? What would the ball?
Or late February, late January, early February. Says, I'm on. Texter says, come on, Lonzo. Like only 98% of people are drinking during the Super Bowl. That's totally not fair. Will y'all stop? Listen.
That's a pretty high percentage.
I'm going to walk out of this office to an intervention based on the way Lonzo's making me sound right now.
I've been texting. You haven't noticed. They're ready to go.
Is that what that was for? Texture says, wasn't that? Oh, this is Lonzo. Are you texting the show? Wasn't that petition started by a kid? I doubt he's doing it for the booze, Lonzo. He probably started boozing when he saw Brady at that parade, right?
Well, it's perfectly acceptable according to some people, you know, maybe even on the show. So it's all right. He just won the Super Bowl.
Keegan has maybe the best point of all. It's easier to clean up the Super Bowl party on Sunday instead of Monday. He's right. He's right. You know, those of us who like social gatherings and have people over for the Super Bowl, I would rather have all Sunday to clean up than mandatorily do it Sunday night.
See, this is why this doesn't work. Nobody clean up after a party. That stuff sits there for days.
You may have just given Courtney an aneurysm by saying that. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the first hour of the show, break down some football next. Texter says, at work at 6 a.m. I live 45 minutes away. Got home from the Reba concert at 12:30 a.m. Back up at 4:45. Suck it up, Buttercup. Hey, I was there too. And I got out of bed at 9 a.m. and made it just fine. Joe Buttercup. The Rob Brown's Ego Show is on the radio. It's ESPN Upstate.
Tonight, a chance for rain and snow mixing, becoming all snow late, cloudy and near 23. Saturday, sunny, high 47, and Sunday, sunshine, high 48. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Buczynski on ESPN Upstate. Currently, it's 45.
And now, a message from your smart speaker.
I know you're out there.
touching things again. But who was there for you when you didn't want to touch anything? When all you had to do was ask, and you got all the information you wanted from a trusted source.
Still the best way to stay in touch with upstate sports happenings.
Go ahead, touch your nasty phone. See if I care.
On air, on your smart speaker, or any smart device.
And don't give me any of that "it's not you, it's me" nonsense.
This is ESPN Upstate.
Borderlands Comics and Games, proud sponsor of the Upstate Pulse, has been Upstate South Carolina's leader in comics and games for over 30 years. Borderlands has over 300,000 comics, graphic novels, and games. They also have the biggest variety of toys and collectibles around. And now, they're your Pokemon headquarters. Borderlands Comics and Games, 1434 Lawrence Road. Check them out on Instagram and Facebook.
There's nothing worse than coming home from a cold day to find out that your heater isn't working. When this happens, you need an HVAC company you can trust. A company like Priority Heating and Air. Their HVAC specialist will give your system a thorough checkup. And if you need a new unit, Priority Heating and Air is a proud distributor of the Coleman line of HVAC systems. So keep your family or business warm this winter and give Priority Heating and Air a call today at 591-1847 or online at PriorityHeatingandAirHVAC.com.
Your HVAC problem is our priority. Priority Heating and Air.
Golfers, the best upstate deal on golf is back and on sale now. The 2022 Upstate Golf Card gets you a round of golf at 10 premier upstate courses, and it's still only $99. Grab your foursome and get your Upstate Golf Cards now to play courses including the Preserve at Verde, Willow Creek, Legacy Pines, Carolina Springs, and more. Order at theupstategolfcard.com. 10 rounds of golf for only $99. Upstategolfcard.com. Upstategolfcard.com.
Join us at Brewery 85 Saturday, January 29th from noon to 5 p.m. for our 8th annual anniversary party. A day filled with live music from DJ Black Caesar, friends of Bad Boy Barbecue and local pie pizza, specialty cask beers, and infusion beers. Get details at brewery85.com.
With just one spray of Microban 24, your hard surfaces are sanitized for up to 24 hours. Touch after touch after touch.
So 6 hours from now?
Still sanitized.
12 hours?
Yep.
18 hours.
We're really doing this.
24 hours.
When used as directed, one spray of Microban keeps killing 99.9% of bacteria, touch after touch for, up to 24 hours.
Wow.
Microban 24. The sanitizer 4 out of 5 doctors would use in their own homes. So why aren't you?
If you were designing the next generation of luxury crossovers, you'd want it to have everything that's important to you, not just an available 14-inch touchscreen, an interface designed to give you what you need, where you need it, not just an advanced safety system, one that's designed to help you protect others on the road, not just a driver-centric cockpit, one with intuitive tech that actually gets you, so you can block out all the noise and focus on what matters. That's what you can get with the only 2022 Lexus NX. To discover more about this next-level crossover, visit Lexus.com/NX.
More than the scores, the ups and downs.
Wrapping up hour number 1 here on the show, ladies and gentlemen. Text line's open. Preferred Home Services text line is 71307. Start your text with ESPN. We'll read them live on the air. I put up a poll at twitter.com/ESPN Upstate. Twitter.com/ESPN Upstate. You can go there and vote on the poll. It's an either or question. Super Bowl, move it to Saturday, leave it on Sunday. So far,
Rob keeps if you look on the Facebook page, ESPN Upstate, and check out the Facebook Live, he has side-eyed me 3 times while he's talking about the poll.
It is very early. It's only been up for about 10 minutes now. We got 17 votes in already, and so far 70% say move it to Saturday. I suspect. I told you. I think it's going to fill. It's going to finish. It's going to finish around. I'm telling you, it's going to finish about 2-1. About 66% going to say Saturday.
Can we do a follow-up poll and ask how many of these people have a cure for hangover?
Lots of Gatorade. You know what the best is? Pedialyte. Pedialyte will knock that hangover out in the quick. Or mimosas. Mimosas are a big help.
Still don't. What's a mimosa?
Champagne and orange juice.
So
if you're like me, I'm a bigger screwdriver fan, which is vodka OJ. That's the way to go.
So you get rid of the hangover by getting drunk again? Is that how that
No.
works?
By drinking again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's called hair of the dog.
So it's not like continuing a buzz. I'm just,
I mean, you can if you want to.
Okay.
But yeah, it just lightens the blood pressure back up a little bit, It's important stuff. We're here to educate the audience, Alonzo. Just don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. That's my only thing. All right. We're gonna get into the actual game breakdown coming up next. I gotta tell you, it's always the weirdest stuff. Like we get told stick to sports once or twice a day, right? Like once or twice a day, I get a text or a tweet or an email from somebody who goes, "What are you guys talking about this? Stick to sports." And we do, right? We do 60 segments a week. Probably 55 of them are sports. But I will also tell you, we check the numbers, right? Every day after the show, we load in all 3 hours to our podcast section at espnupstate.com. You can go there, and right at the top in the center is a button that says podcast. Click on that. It'll drop down. Click on the Rob Brown Show. You can go listen to all the podcasts. So every day we upload the 3 hours plus 2 to 4 highlight segments that we go, oh, that was a good segment. Let's put that up. And on Friday, I go back and I look at which podcasts from the week were the most listened to. And almost without fail, Lonzo, the most downloaded, the most listened to podcast inevitably are the ones that are just like random stuff. Last week, remember our helicopter story from last week, where we talked about the helicopter flying around Spartanburg with the gigantic saw blade hanging off of it?
Still amazing, even a week later.
Still, it's incredible. Stathakis, by the way, saw it the other day and sent me video. It flew right over him, and he sent me the video of it. Anyway, that bad boy got more listens, Lonzo, than any other segment we did all week. And frankly, it doesn't surprise me. You guys sent me more text and tweets just now about Super Bowl Saturday versus Super Bowl Sunday than I think any other segment we've done this week. So just so you're aware how this works. You interact, we respond. It's a fun game for me. We come back. First segment, Lonzo and I are going to tell you who wins the AFC and NFC Championship game. Second segment, Dan Scott, the voice of Furman basketball, joins us to break down where the Dins stand right now. And then it's all you guys for the rest of the hour on the Rob Brown Show. Rob, Lonzo, and you. It's ESPN Upstate.
Presents your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update powered by The Score. Clemson football Alabama high school quarterback Caleb Nix has announced that he has accepted a preferred walk-on offer from Clemson. He is the brother of former Auburn and now Oregon quarterback Bo Nix, and he is set to join the quarterback room at Clemson moving forward. Speaking of Clemson athletics, the Clemson women's basketball team, they lose to Pitt on Thursday night in overtime by a 78-73 score. They're back at it on Sunday when they will host Georgia Tech. The South Carolina women's basketball team, they have no problem at defeating number 24 Mississippi on Thursday, 69-40 the final score. They will play at Florida on Sunday. Download the Score app today. Lightning fast sports alerts so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. With your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, I'm Matt Pauley.
Have you heard Offsides with Mark Wright?
ESPN Upstate. ESPN Upstate.
No matter where the ball bounces, we've got your hookup on your radio at 97.7 FM in Green Bay and 97.1 FM in Spartanburg. On your computer at ESPNUpstate.com. On your phone or tablet by the Odyssey app. On your Amazon smart speaker.
I don't know, Brandon, when your icon is Captain Obvious. I don't know. But I guess, yeah, you may be right. I'm getting my commercials mixed up. Never mind. It's Friday. I'm going home.
Golly.
You need water or something? I mean,
Got
yeah.
one over here. I appreciate it. Go get another one at the break. Hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show goes now. This is ESPN Upstate. Hello, Upstate South Carolina. Great to be with you. Rob, Lonzo, you. Phone lines open, 844-GSP-ESPN. Preferred Home Services text lines here for you as well at 71307. Start your text with ESPN, and we will read them on the air. AFC Championship, NFC Championship, getting set for Sunday afternoon. Joey B on the road taking on Patty Mahomes in Kansas City, Cincinnati at the Chiefs. And then, of course, we've also got the NFC title game, a California Bowl, as the LA Rams take on the San Francisco 49ers. Let's start, Zoe, over in the NFC, the championship game, to determine who from the Blue Brand will be headed to the Super Bowl. And this one, I think we got to look at Jimmy Garoppolo first, right? I go back to that game last week in Green Bay, and you go back to the Dallas game too. Jimmy Garoppolo, of the 3 guys that are left standing now in Mahomes, Burrow, and Matt Stafford, Garoppolo is the one quarterback that has done enough. Not excelled, not been great, but he's done enough, right? The special teams touchdown got him the W last week at Lambeau. The week before that, his defense and Dak's brain fart got them the win over the Dallas Cowboys to move them into the NFC Championship game. Jimmy Garoppolo has done enough. It hasn't been great. It's been enough. So, with that being said, Zoe, is Jimmy Garoppolo doing enough to get by Matt Stafford and the LA Rams?
See, really, this is the story. The story is 2 maligned quarterbacks, two guys that have said that they needed to move on. They're not as good as I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo is the guy. To me, and this is a conspiracy theory that I have, I'm not going to play the music, is that every summer or so, there's this, the Illuminati of sports decides what guys they're going after this year. And those are the guys that are in the headlines and are on every show every day, sometimes because they have nothing else to talk about. And Jimmy Garoppolo, I think, is one of those guys. When he plays, he wins. That's what I don't get. When he plays, he wins. When he's not there, they lose. What else? Is he spectacular like Patrick Mahomes or like some of these other elite quarterbacks? No. But when he plays, they win. So I don't get the Chris. I think there's more pressure on Matt Stafford than there is on Jimmy Garoppolo, because Stafford has had that stigma on him for what, a decade? The same thing that Garoppolo was dealing with, Stafford's had to deal with forever while he was I think there's more pressure on Stafford than there is on Garoppolo. When Garoppolo plays, for the most part, San Francisco wins.
The Rams, 3.5-point favorites in this, but they are also the home team. That being said, they're really not, right? We talked about this in the last segment. Vivid Seats says that they are projecting that about 65% of that stadium will be San Francisco fans coming up on Sunday. It's going to be a Niners home game. So basically, they think that the Rams are probably inside of a field goal better than the 49ers. But the 49ers are 2-0 against the Rams this year, right? They have in fact, I believe that they have won their last 6 consecutive against the LA Rams. 6 in a row. They've got the number. Jimmy Garoppolo, I agree with what Lonzo said. But again, I would go back. This is the epitome when we talk about quarterbacks get too much of the credit and they get too much of the blame, right? Like whenever a team's doing poorly, everybody wants to immediately run to the quarterback. The quarterback's not doing enough. And when a team wins, everybody wants to immediately elevate that team's quarterback into, is this guy elite? Right? We did it with Joe Flacco years back. It kind of became an internet meme for a while. Jimmy G is good enough, right? Quarterback's the only spot on the field that we look at and go, you just need to, that we don't look at and go, you can get away with this guy just being good enough.
If you look at some of the worst quarterbacks to ever win the Super Bowl,
Brad Johnson.
Jimmy Garoppolo is better than a lot of those guys.
I would say yeah. I would say yeah. But I don't put him in the realm. Do you put him in the same realm as Patrick Mahomes? Do you put him in the same realm as Joe Burrow right now? If I gave you a choice right now, Lonzo, Mahomes goes down and the football gods smile upon thee and say, we, Lonzo, bestow upon you the right to pick one of these 2 quarterbacks to take over for Patrick Mahomes. And I offered you Jimmy Garoppolo or Joe Burrow. Who you take today?
I'm taking Joe Burrow, but I have bias. So I'm going to take Joe Burrow no matter what because of where he started out playing college. That always factors in with me. I'm not going to pretend like it doesn't. It does. But you put that aside, he seems to be the better quarterback.
Yeah. If I offered you Stafford or Garoppolo, who'd you take for one game? I'm taking Matt Stafford.
I'm taking Stafford, yeah.
Jimmy Garoppolo isn't in the league with the other 3 guys in the championship weekend. I'm not saying he's bad.
But that's okay because not too many people are.
Sure.
So
again.
But can he be? Does he have the potential to be? Or is this what you get with him from now on?
I think this is what you get.
He comes in, call him a game manager, call whatever, but I think his winning percentage is pretty good.
He's good enough. He's good enough. And good enough is fine, right? Like I said, how many we have said before, we have said that offensive line's not great, but they're good enough. Those linebackers aren't great, but they're good enough. We very frequently say about a lot of positions that team's not good, but they're good enough. The only position we don't do that with is the quarterback. And I think Jimmy Garoppolo is the most prevalent example of that. He's not good. We wouldn't take him over Stafford. We wouldn't take him over Burrow. We certainly wouldn't take him over Mahomes. He is the 4th best quarterback. Keegan asked in the Facebook chat, facebook.com/ESPN Upstate or twitter.com/ESPN Upstate, or search the Rob Brown Show on YouTube and you can watch and participate with the show live on the stream. Keegan said, is Jimmy Garoppolo the worst quarterback in the playoffs right now? I feel like anyone could be back there and the 49ers would still be where they are. I can think of a handful of quarterbacks that I would pop back there and be worse than Jimmy Garoppolo. But Jimmy G, I think, is...
Any of the quarterbacks for the Carolina Panthers right now would all be worse.
Yeah. Sam Darnold would not accomplish what Jimmy Garoppolo has done. PJ Walker would not. Hey, Cam, maybe. Maybe.
Not right now.
In fact, I'm curious. I'm looking at the rest of the playoff bracket, right? This year, Jimmy Garoppolo or Ben Roethlisberger?
Garoppolo.
I'm 50-50, but I'll give you Garoppolo.
Really?
Yeah,
did you see how? Yeah.
It wasn't ideal, but I think Jimmy G's wide. If I put Roethlisberger into the San Francisco lineup this year, do the 49ers make the playoffs? I think they do.
Ben, to me, and this is coming from someone who understands, looks old and arthritic. So no.
Oh, I'm not saying he's as good as he once was, but he's as good once as he ever was. I say the 49ers absolutely make the playoffs if he's there. Josh Allen, I think we're all taking over Jimmy Garoppolo. Mac Jones or Jimmy Garoppolo?
I'm going to go with Jimmy Garoppolo.
I'm not. I'm going
because he's a proven winner. I believe he has more wins than Mac Jones because Mac Jones only played one season. So for sure he does.
I think you could put Mac Jones in the 49ers offense and they'd be just as good. We take Joe Burrow, Derek Carr, or Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm taking Derek Carr on what he did this year.
Yeah, probably Derek Carr.
No need to ask about Tom Brady. We'd all take Brady.
No, I would not.
You liar. Jalen Hurts or Jimmy Garoppolo. This is probably one of
Garoppolo.
Yeah, I probably Garoppolo. That may change in a couple of years, but I'm probably taking Garoppolo. Dak or Jimmy G. I think I'm taking Dak, to be honest. Brain fart aside, I'm taking Dak.
And I'm going to go with Jimmy G just because I can't get past that 14 seconds.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, neither can any Dallas Cowboys fan.
Kyler Murray or Jimmy Garoppolo or Jimmy G. I know your answer. I'm taking Jimmy G. I'm taking Kyler Murray. You're taking Jimmy G.
Jimmy G is a foot taller than Kyler Murray.
Right, but which one are you taking?
I'm going with Jimmy Garoppolo because Kyler Murray can run. But once he gets hit a couple of times, then he's like,
a little bit.
Yeah, he does.
I'll take Kyler Murray. Here's the point. Here's the point that I'm making. Jimmy Garoppolo is good, right? He is 33-14 as a starter.
Does he deserve the criticism that he gets, the media attention that he gets all the time? All these panels on ESPN and other places who have to talk about how bad does he deserve all this?
I don't see him getting as much credit as as you make it sound like he does. I think Jimmy G.
No, and it was like, well, it's all quarterback. You know what they didn't do? They didn't move it.
I didn't love the pick of Trey Lance for them anyway, right? That being said, what would this team be? What would this team be if Matt Stafford quarterbacked the San Francisco 49ers? What would this team be if I don't know, pick another one of the guys we just mentioned? I think there's probably 6 or 7 quarterbacks that I could plug back there and they'd be better. But whatever, back to the original point. Jimmy G is good enough. And I'll say this is what makes this game more interesting than that. Matt Stafford in the last 2 games against San Francisco that Matt Stafford is QB'd, Matt Stafford, 64.4% of his passes, 4 touchdowns, and 4 INTs as well. He is average. He is average against the San Francisco 49ers. He's average against them. The Rams back on November 15th lost to the 49ers 31-10. And then they lost again to the Niners back on January 9th in overtime, 27-24. In that last one, Matt Stafford had a pick 6 towards the end of the game that allowed San Francisco to take him to overtime and win. Matt Stafford's been pedestrian. Now, I'm in Stafford's corner. When they made the trade for Stafford, there were a lot of folks that were going, LA just sealed their own fate. Yeah, Jared Goff, and you moved on to Matt Stafford. And I went, guys, I don't think you understand how bad the Detroit Lions franchise is as a whole, right? As a whole. So you took Jared Goff, a guy that played in the Super Bowl a couple years ago. You directly switch him out with Matt Stafford. Now Matt Stafford's 60 from the bowl, and who is Jared Goff, right? Matt Stafford's good.
Who looked better in Detroit, Stafford or Goff?
Stafford did.
Yeah.
Stafford did. Now Goff's got there's a relatively new head coach there in town, so it's a little different. But
well, that's kind of the normal thing in Detroit,
also
though.
True. Every 3 years. But I think the point that we're making here, I think, is that if it comes to quarterbacks, if it comes to which one of these two guys have a better day, even though Stafford was pedestrian against the 49ers in the regular season, right? I'm taking Matt Stafford. And before you go crazy and go, man, they've already beat him twice, remember, last year, the Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers lost to their divisional rival, the New Orleans Saints, twice. Last year, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were the wild card team and had to go to New Orleans in the playoffs, and they beat them before they got to the Super Bowl. Regular season games will teach you a lot. The playoffs are a different batch, man. It's a different situation. And if you ask me who I trust, Stafford or Garoppolo, the answer is Matt Stafford, without a doubt.
Are we picking?
Yeah, go on the record. Let's have at it.
I was hoping you'd go first because this one is so hard. Well, actually, both of them are difficult. I was going to go Rams, but I've changed my mind. I'm going to go with San Francisco. As long as Debo stays healthy, he is hitting his stride. He is hitting his peak. He seems to be unstoppable and everywhere. And I think he's the difference. And so I'm going to go with San Francisco 24-21 over the Rams.
Debo's the X factor. Sure. Debo's the X factor in every game. They may just call him the X factor. If Des Bryant hadn't claimed that name a couple of years ago, that's what we call Debo, right? The dude is the X factor. And I'm high on Debo right now. But I'm taking LA. I hate LA. I hate the LA Rams. Hate them. Hate the LA Rams. But I'm taking the Rams in this one.
So you are choosing Roger Goodell.
First off, I'm putting him into the corner of my bet here, right? I'm putting Goodell's power. I'm riding with Matt Stafford. I think that the addition of Cam Akers, the awakening of Odell Beckham Jr., gives them some versatility that they were missing in those games against San Francisco in the regular season. Remember, Cam had a popped Achilles that it was nothing shy of a small football miracle that he made it back to play in the playoffs. I think he is the game changer. I think Debo's going to have a big day. Don't get me wrong. But do you know why Debo has to have the day that he has to have in order for the Niners to win? Because Jimmy Garoppolo ain't the guy.
Going. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that's where I'm going because it's right. Let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute. Oh, by the way, final score? Put some numbers on it.
I said 24-21.
24-21. 27-24 LA. Nail biter. Let's go to overtime. Let's make it weird. 27-24. I will take the LA Rams. Dan Scott, the voice of the Furman Paladins, joins us next on the Rob Brown Show to talk a little Paladins basketball. This is ESPN Upstate.
Let me check. I think I have his phone number.
If you don't, it's on the show prep doc at the very top.
Oh, I didn't see it.
I'm putting it in there right now.
Oh, okay. That's why
it should be there now.
All right.
Clemson. He is the brother of former Auburn and now Oregon quarterback Bo Nix, and he is set to join the quarterback room at Clemson moving forward. Speaking of Clemson athletics, the Clemson women's basketball team, they lose to Pitt on Thursday night in overtime by a 78-73 score. They're back at it on Sunday when they will host Georgia Tech. The South Carolina women's basketball team, they have no problem at defeating number 24 Mississippi on Thursday. 61-40 the final score. They will play at Florida on Sunday. Download the Score app today. Lightning fast sports alerts so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. With your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, I'm Matt Pauley.
ESPN Upstate is your home for Furman Paladins men's basketball. Every play and every game on ESPN Upstate 97.
I thought I had it. I just wanted to check.
Oh, man. My Georgia boy is in the crowd today. Stafford, Sony Michel, Leonard Floyd. Yeah, good Georgia representation in there. Brandon, what's up, big dog? Trey, welcome in. Keegan says, Rob, who are you hoping the Saints hire as their new coach? I don't know.
Urban.
Todd Bowles, the Buccaneers defensive coordinator, is going to interview. Byron Leftwich, which, by the way, 2 days ago, Byron Leftwich was going to be the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, which I was like, oh, my gosh, are the Jags making a good decision? Then the negotiations went downhill, and Byron Leftwich was not going to be the head coach. Then this morning, Alonzo, the Jacksonville Jaguars have replaced Trent Baalke as their general manager all of a sudden. So less than 48 hours after the negotiations with Leftwich went down, they've got themselves a new GM. I asked this question with mild amusement and some LOLs. Did the Jacksonville Jaguars just make a good football decision? I'm not used to that. This is new territory for
them. They haven't. And once they do, if they do, which it looks like it, they actually still have to win. So
right, but a new GM, which decision-making has been a flaw for them lately, might find them the right coach. But that being said, if they made the mistake, I'd take Byron Leftwich. I would take. Here's the thing, Lonzo, you're a Chiefs fan. Who calls the plays in Kansas City?
Ultimately, Andy Reid calls the plays.
So, Eric, I was thinking about this, why Bieniemy still hasn't gotten a job as a head coach, because players are coming out of the woodworks rallying for this guy, guys that have played for him. And people keep, why isn't he getting a job? And there's a lot of people who run immediately to instill racism in the league, and that might be true. But I also wonder how much of it is teams know that Andy Reid's the offensive coordinator.
That's what I've always was. Yeah. I mean, because he's interviewed for so many things.
Yeah.
Either he's a bad interviewer, or it's that, or maybe it's a combination.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good, really good. Actually, it feels good.
Hello, Dan. How are you today?
So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless. Now offering our $45 silver unlimited,
Which is better than horribly bad. All right. Things are wonderful on the Rob Brown Show. It's a nice and dreary day outside, but it's sunny in here always. You're not already wearing them? I mean, come on. All right, hang on.
Lenardi's bracketology right now has, because we're hosting a first round site here at the Well. According to Lenardi, Auburn, a 16 match of either Southern or New Orleans University, Indiana, and FSU coming to Greenville.
Again, one of my fondest memories, even though I'm not into college basketball, sitting right down there on the floor where the bands would sit. Yeah. And me and Greg McKinney, every time a band would come in, we'd go to the other one, and no one stopped us.
Yeah.
We sat right down on the court underneath the baskets. Yeah, it was awesome.
The best part of this job is occasionally, well, for me, I get to work with a living legend every day with Lonzo across the board from me. However, sometimes we get to bring in some living legends onto the show, and we do it today as we welcome in the voice of the Furman Paladins, ladies and gentlemen, the great Dan Scott, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show at ESPN Upstate. Dano, my dude, it's been too long. How we feeling, fella?
Man, I am doing well, Rob. Thank you for asking. Good to be back. And just a little talk radio 101 here. I don't think people out there really know how these things truly work from the inside. But having done this for an extended period of time myself, the way this thing works for listeners is Rob said, I need to kill a segment because that's what this whole business is about, killing a segment. I've got some time to fill. Who can I get that's desperate enough to come on the air with me and help us fill this time? And my name was at the top of your list. That's how the talk radio business works.
Ladies and gentlemen, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. All right. Dan giving out trade secrets here. That is not accurate. If I get to bring on a broadcast legend like the great Dan Scott, I'm going to jump at the opportunity even if I do send the text at like 11:15, 45 minutes before the show starts.
Right. Yeah, we won't mention that.
Dan Scott joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Talk a little Paladin basketball. And I want to go back first and foremost, Dano. Last Saturday evening, I was sitting at the house listening to your call, and I'm not going to say that Furman going into Wofford and demolishing the Terriers got to a point that it sounded like you were actually having fun. But what an absolute display the Dins put on over in the Berg that night.
Well, you have to put it into context, Rob. This is my 11th season as the voice of the Paladins. So this was my 11th trip to Wofford, either the old arena or the new arena. I take that back. It's my 9th trip because 2 of the games I did not do for various reasons. But bottom line is, this is the first time that Furman's won at Wofford in those 11 years. Ironically, go back to football season, it's the first time Furman had won at Wofford in football since 2008. Now they play every other year in football. But, yeah, it had been a while, and I don't think anybody expected Furman to win by that kind of margin. But I will say this, and Tom Van Hoy can corroborate this story. Right before we went on the air for the pregame show last Saturday, I turned to him and said, I have an uncommonly good feeling about this game in this building tonight. And uncommon because the last 2 times I had done a game for Furman against Wofford in that building, Furman started something like 1 for 19 from the field. So it was good to get that monkey off their back, but it's just an extension, Rob, of the way this team has been playing of late, and it's been fun to watch.
Talk to me a little bit about that because, we go back a little earlier in the year, and there were a couple of tough L's for Furman, a 76-67 loss to VMI to start the year, turned around a couple weeks later, dropped a tough one to Chattanooga. But, the team hasn't really had a streak of losses so far in 2022. The consistency there has been there, and most of the L's have been tough L's. Is this the rest of the conference catching up with Furman, or is this a lack of just finishing in a couple of games?
If you look, first of all, if you look at the overall conference ratings across this country, you're going to see Furman, you're going to see the Southern Conference hanging around the top 10. It is an absolute crime that this league is still pigeonholed into a one-bid league by the NCAA tournament committee each and every year. I mean, you go back, I think it was 2 years, the Southern Conference was the first conference to have an overall RPI as high as it was that did not get multiple teams in the field since it expanded to 64 back in 1985, I think. This league, from top to bottom, is as good a mid-major league as there is in the country. And people, I think I'm starting to see some national folks who are now starting to pay attention. And hopefully that means good things down the road. I still think that this league is going to be considered a one-bid league for the next 2 or 3 years anyway. But the level of competition in this league is incredible. And, just to put it in perspective, VMI was picked 7th in the preseason in the league. If VMI is the 7th best team in the Southern Conference, and the Southern Conference is a darn fine league because they are an outstanding basketball team. They gave Furman fits, as we know, last year, beat them in overtime in the Southern Conference tournament, beat them on New Year's Day, as you mentioned, in a game that Furman went about 8 minutes down the stretch without making a field goal. And going back to Wednesday, again, caused Furman some issues shooting the basketball. It's just that the Paladins made some adjustments on the way they were doing things offensively. So it's kind of a combination of things. This league is tough, man. This league is tough night in and night out. And then, on top of it, are people catching up with Furman? Furman had to catch up with a lot of people going back about 6 years ago So the more good teams you have in a league, the higher the league standards get.
Dan Scott, voice of the Furman Paladins, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. So Furman follows up that win over Wofford with a little revenge against VMI, 79-64 earlier this week on a Wednesday. They line it up with Mercer coming up this weekend, Dan Scott. And if I ask you to give me an early preview of that Saturday nighter, what are you looking for here?
Well, I'm looking for Mercer to be bound and determined to snap a 13-game losing streak to Furman, first of all. The Paladins have had that kind of success against the Bears over the last, 5-6 seasons. That's number one. Hawkins Arena is a tough place to play, as most road venues are in this league. And Mercer has some outstanding players led by Felipe Hasse, a big guy who can, he can play down low. He can step out and shoot the ball from the perimeter. He is a heck of a player. If Furman is going to be successful, they're going to have to continue this formula that has really elevated them in winning 6 of their last 7 and finishing the first half of Southern Conference play at 7-2. Right now, Rob, you look at the Southern Conference overall statistics, and all of a sudden Furman is the number 1 defensive team in the league, and that margin is starting to widen. They held Western Carolina to 50 points. They held Wofford to 50 points. They held VMI, who leads the conference in scoring at right at 80 points a game, to 64 on Wednesday night. And it's been kind of amazing how these things work. When the defense began to lock down, that's when the free flowing of the offense seemed to come around. So to me, it's if you go down there and you defend and you rebound, the 2 effort categories, everything else will fall into place.
Yeah, and that's what, as a matter of fact, I was just looking down the rebounding statistics, and Furman bringing in 35 rebounds a game, effectively 34.7 ultimately, and giving up just slightly less than that at 34.1. One of the things that I've kept an eye on, I mean, this team has been very tough around the basket. This team will get you some second chance opportunities, but are also willing to give up a handful of rebounds as well. If you describe the makeup of this team around the paint, what would you say the strengths and weaknesses have been?
I would say the weakness has been understanding that this team needs to be a 5-player gang rebound team. And when you go back, you talked about the tough loss at Chattanooga, for instance. And rebounding has been something Bob Ritchie has been harping on all season long. People look at the offensive rebound that set up Malachi Smith to hit the shot that tied the game, which set in motion what happened at the end of the game. But that wasn't a post-player rebound problem. That was a guard not blocking out. It was an opposing guard that got the offensive rebound for Chattanooga. And that's been one of the things that Bob Ritchie has been really trying to impress on this team, that everybody has to rebound. Well, you look at VMI on Wednesday, Conley Garrison, the 5th-year graduate transfer out of Division II Drury in Missouri, had 8 rebounds. 6 of them were offensive rebounds, and helped keep possessions alive and help Furman start racking up second chance points. So that message has started to get through. And while Furman is still at, toward the bottom of the league in total rebounding, if you look at what they've done in the last 3, 4, 5 games, those numbers have started to significantly increase. So you have to hope that message is getting through. When this team does that, it's a good overall rebounding team, and then they are one of the best in transition off of missed shots that you're going to see, not only in this league, but in the country. But they can't get there if they don't rebound.
Furman currently, Dan, sitting at 2nd place in the Southern Conference, just a couple of games behind Chattanooga, but also in the midst of a 3-game win streak as they get set again for their next one tomorrow night at 6 p.m. That was going to be at Mercer. If Furman can go get that win and close that gap in the Southern Conference up, is this team a contender to win the Southern Conference this year?
Yeah, and not to correct the host of the show, but I think Furman's only a half game behind Chattanooga. Chattanooga has played, I believe, one less game.
You are correct. 7-1 in conference goes Chattanooga. 7-2 are the Dins.
Yeah, they had a game postponed because of COVID that they have not yet made up. So yeah, I mean, Chattanooga and Furman were picked 1 and 2 in the league by both the media and the coaches in the preseason. So these two teams being at the top of the conference really shouldn't be any surprise, regardless of what you feel about, media polls. But, the bottom line is that I think they are where everybody thought they were going to be. And I give a lot of credit to Bob Ritchie being willing to say, you know what, we're not going to worry about having the kind of non-conference schedule that can guarantee us a 25-win season if we do well in the league. We're going to challenge this team. And if you look at that non-conference schedule, going on the road to North Carolina, going on the road to Louisville, going on the road to Mississippi State, going on the road to Belmont, which is one of the top mid-major programs in the country, going on the road to High Point, being willing to play those kind of games, I think you're seeing the benefits of that pay off in this schedule right now.
Dan, I'm looking at Joe Lenardi's bracketology right now, and he's got Chattanooga listed in as an automatic qualifier as a 13 seed up against an AQ out of the Big Ten in Wisconsin. Is, in your opinion, is Furman good enough to go win this conference and get the AQ? And if so, what are the odds maybe we see them get through the first, maybe second round of the March tournament?
Are they good enough to go win the conference tournament? Absolutely. I don't think there's any question that they're good enough. It's just a matter of going out and doing it for the first time since 1980. But this team has the talent to do it. I don't think there's any question about that. And then you get in and all bets are off. And that, again, I think is where that schedule that the Paladins played in the non-conference season would come back to be a benefit, because you go to Louisville, you win there. You go to Chapel Hill, you're tied 39 all at the half with North Carolina, and you go to Mississippi State, and with 4 minutes to go in that game, you've got a 6-point lead, and everybody walked out of Starkville thinking that we let one get away. There's no such thing as a moral victory inside this Furman basketball program anymore. So if you can get there, I don't see why there's any reason to think that you wouldn't have a chance to win one and move on. But, the trick is, again, this is going to be a one-bid league. So you're going to have to go into Asheville, and you're going to have to win 3 games and earn your way there.
Dan Scott is the voice of the Furman Paladins, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show, and dare I say, upping the quality of the show overall. Dan, my man, appreciate it, buddy. Have a great call tomorrow night. We will be listening, and we'll get you back on soon, my guy.
Sounds good, Rob. Thanks, buddy.
Looking forward to it. That is Dan Scott, the voice of the Furman Paladins here on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. When we come back, Lonzo and I will take a look at the NFC Championship game. The phone line's open for you at 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. Preferred Home Services text line 71307 as well. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's ESPN Upstate. Bow, 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 bow.
I'm Christine Lisi, developing story. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones dismissing speculation he's got an eye to bring in former Saints coach Sean Payton as his new head coach. Jones on 105.3 The Fan said he hasn't talked to Payton, isn't part of any dialogue or decision-making relative to him leaving New Orleans. He also said Mike McCarthy's future as head coach in Dallas never in question, that he and McCarthy were working together to make sure defensive coordinator Dan Quinn stayed in Dallas. Jones also said he expects offensive coordinator Kellen Moore to stay with the Cowboys as well in 2022. Strong indication for the Chiefs that safety Tyrann Mathieu will play in Sunday's AFC Championship game versus the Bengals. He did practice yesterday.
Brandon. Yeah, Brady sounds different this postseason than he sounded in a very long time. So I would not be all that shocked for him to decide that this is the one to hang it up on. We'll see. He did say wife and family come first, so we'll find out. I also think Brady's the guy that wants to try to go out on a Super Bowl, right? Like, I think if he wins the Super Bowl this year, without a doubt, he calls it a career. I don't know if he does going out the way he went out, right? Losing at home the way he lost. I don't know.
Spelled my last name wrong, Keegan, but that's all right.
And right now, get your first online doctor's visit totally free when you go to 4hims.com/joy. That's right, free. Zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations to get your prescription. Hims connects you to medical providers online who can evaluate you and, if appropriate, prescribe your ED medication. Then a certified pharmacy sends it right to your door. Hims makes it affordable, private, and incredibly easy. Nobody likes dealing with ED. Now, thanks to Hims, nobody has to, and that's really good news. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's 4hims.com/joy for your free online visit. forhims.com/joy.
Gentlemen, now you can find the best brands and fits for you without even trying. Just follow these easy instructions. Step 1, shop a personalized store that does all the work for you by customizing a selection for your taste and body. Step 2, level up your closet with the best brands and fits with little to no effort. Not trying has never looked so good. Introducing Stitch Fix Freestyle.
Some creepy background music in this spot.
It is. I was just thinking the same thing.
Yeah. It's not Halloween.
It looks like that's it. Frank's record. I put that on everything.
Hey, Ray Mariozzi here. Have you ever cooked a really fine gourmet meal? Yeah, me neither. But I'm told it all comes down to the ingredients. And when I need ingredients to improve my car, the place I go is eBay Motors. Whether you roasted your last transmission, graded your current floor mats, or pureed your side view mirror on a lamppost, eBay Motors has the right parts at the right prices. And there's 22 million of them. And by the way, if you recently fired up your grill, don't worry, eBay Motors has grills too. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
When others treat your fries as an afterthought, all you're left with are cold, soggy fries. That's why Wendy's new fries are ones you won't forget, guaranteed to be hot and crispy, or will replace them. We're talking natural cuts.
I know this won't mean a ton to you, but the Men in Blazers podcast is one of the most popular soccer podcasts. It's run by a couple of guys that do a show on ESPN, and like the big ESPN. And they just tweeted out, support John Harkes and his team in the magical kingdom of Greenville, which is really, that's a huge
that's cool.
endorsement.
That's cool.
Something really cool just happened, ladies and gentlemen. Nary, but a couple of minutes ago. The Men in Blazers podcast is a couple of British gents who have become Americans and are big soccer guys, which is pretty rad. If you're a soccer fan, I would say that Mike and Roger's show is one that you absolutely want to listen to. The Men in Blazers podcast has gotten very, very big in the States. They are on NBC Sports. They've got a show that goes out on TV, etc. They just sent out a tweet a minute ago. And let's see, Men in Blazers has Lonzo about 245,000 followers on their Twitter feed.
That's not bad.
Not bad at all. Just sent out a tweet that said, support John Harkes and his team in the magical kingdom of Greenville, American flag emoji. Greenville, you know, we had Doug and Joe Irwin on earlier this week on, what was it, Monday or I think maybe last Friday. Yeah, last Friday we had Doug and Joe on talking about the quest by the Triumph to get a stadium built out in Malden. And, you know, they made their first presentation to the Greenville County Council last week, in which they presented a kind of a streamlined presentation of what they're wanting to see out of this roughly $36 million stadium, of which the Triumph would, I believe, if I recall off the top of my head, provide about $21 million. The rest would be county funds coming out of hospitality taxes, potentially, et cetera, et cetera. But this stadium would serve two functions. It would be owned by Greenville County. It would service two functions. Number one, it would just be an arena to host potentially up to, if not more than 150 events a year. But it would also obviously be the home base of the Greenville Triumph. It would be a home stadium that the Triumph would not have to do like they do at Legacy Early College, which has been a tremendous home of the Triumph since their inception. But basically on match day, the Triumph have to go up there and transform that stadium into a soccer stadium on an almost weekly basis during the season. This would be a stadium for the Triumph that they could put their branding on, and it would stay there, and it would just be a great home field for the Triumph. So they've been pushing for this thing for a while now. They made their first presentation. It ended with the county council putting the decision on hold, basically giving themselves some time to look through the plans, hear more about the details, get with the county administrator to determine where the funding would come from, et cetera, and ask questions of the Irwins and the Triumph ownership group about about traffic patterns and about potential financial impact on the area, and to do more studies and whatnot before they were to commit county funds to this stadium. And so we had them on. We answered some questions about it. I know that Joe joined Mark Ryan to answer for the other audience as well, which is very cool of him, and we appreciate it. Anyway, the Men in Blazers podcast, which is sitting at about 250,000 followers, and again, it's a soccer podcast, so it's not going to have the numbers that like PFT does, but it is a rapidly growing podcast and television show. For them to send out this tweet in which they link to, there is a petition going around right now on change.org, a petition going around to ask the county council to support a stadium to be built in Malden around the complex there in order to give the Triumph a home field and a first-class stadium, which would be one of, if not the best arenas in USL League One. And I will tell you and this is just my own opinion, this really helps the potential for the Triumph to move up from USL League One, potentially, and I'm underlining, bolding, and verbally italicizing this, potentially becoming a full-fledged USL member in the near future, which is one step below. I mean, that's a huge jump to effectively one step below MLS. This stadium would go a long way. And on top of that, the Greenville Triumph have a USLW League team that is going to be starting up play next year. They've been announcing, if you haven't been following them on the Greenville Triumph Twitter page, they've announced their head coach. We had her on the show recently. They have started to announce players for this team. They would play there as well, which would make Greenville not just a leader in providing a women's professional sports with one of the nicest home fields to play their matches on, but I genuinely think would help to continue making Greenville and the upstate a destination for women's professional sports around the country, right? I mean, this would be enormous for the Greenville W League team that's coming down the pipe. Anyway, so it's all good stuff. I'm on board with it. I think it's a great idea. And just a minute ago, the Men in Blazers sent out a tweet said, support John Harkes and his team in the magical kingdom of Greenville. Very cool, Lonzo, to get a nationally known, nationally followed, big name soccer podcast from NBC to throw out a personal tweet to John Harkes, to the Greenville Triumph in Greenville, South Carolina. I think that's awesome. And it shows, though, that we are absolutely on the map as a sports destination.
It's very awesome. And here's the other thing. I've heard of these guys before. Mm-hmm. I know you act like you did, but I have heard of them before. So if they're reaching across lines of people who are not traditionally soccer fans, then, they're starting to reach other people. And I think I've seen them on TV before, too.
I'm sure you have. I've had them on the TVs in here a number of times in the past when, they do a lot about the U.S. men's national team. Obviously, when we get to World Cup time and qualifying time, they start popping up as regular analysts as well as their podcast. So, again, the fact that they have taken notice, the fact that they have reached out, the fact that they have talked about this, I think is spectacular. And I think, again, it shows that Greenville and that the upstate are absolutely on the map as a sports community, a sports destination. And I've told you for years, I think Greenville, we've talked about what cities and what populations are towards the top of leading the growth of soccer around the United States. We've talked about Omaha. We've talked about Columbus. We've talked about Austin, Texas. We've talked about Orlando, Florida. While we may not have an MLS team in Greenville, we are connected, obviously, to Charlotte FC now. But while we might not have an MLS team, Greenville, between Clemson soccer and the boys team winning, the men's team winning the NCAA National Championship this year, between what we are seeing going on with the Triumph, 3 years, 2 runners-up and a championship to their name, and now getting recognition from national writers about the Ville and about the stadium, this place is growing, not just as a soccer community. I do think we are one of the best soccer communities in the country now, not just growing as a soccer, but as a sports destination. And this stadium would go a long way in helping to promote that as well. As Doug said, when you got a gigantic sports field, you're not just limited to soccer. Other sports can play there too. Back after this to wrap up Hour 2 on the Rob Brown Show at ESPN Upstate.
On the 106.3 WORD Weather Center, here's the update's most trusted forecast on ESPN Upstate. Few spotty rain showers possible late this afternoon. Partial sunshine develops a high around 50 degrees. Tonight, a chance for rain and snow mixing, becoming all snow late, cloudy, a low near
Make sure I wasn't a jerk.
Except you had, I got it back. Okay. The button, man, the button is tough. The button is fickle. So I wonder how long this national spot's going to continue to play, even though it's
Not the holidays.
It's out of season. Well, I mean, there's always a holiday
Well
around.
over a month after.
There's always a holiday around the corner, but not one that sounds Christmassy.
I don't see this being a good President's Day.
It could be. Could be. So if you're getting passes for the basketball, I would like to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that was such an interesting experience.
That's great.
Being down underneath and seeing how all the media works and all that kind of stuff.
I did the SEC women's tournament last year. I went and covered it, and I was like sitting a couple rows up, and then a guy sees a mini pass. He's like, you can go down on the floor, right? So I watched South Carolina versus LSU from mid-court, close enough that I could go like that and be in bounds. Like, it was awesome. It was so much fun.
We were dodging basketballs when they would come under this kind of, That's why I told you I was sitting next to Radakovich, and McKinney was trying to get me to tell him I didn't like Clemson.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, putting a bow on hour number 2. When we come back in the next hour, we'll pick our AFC Championship game. We put the NFC in the bag. Lonzo going with the Niners. Rob Brown going with the Rams. Coming up in the next segment, we will get into the AFC side of things. Chiefs, Bengals. We'll give you our picks for that game. Then faces and heels at 2:20, Lonzo's favorite segment of the week. Then we'll have a little fun with you guys on the phone line and on the text line. And then it's Twitter trending topics to wrap it all up right here on the Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate.
He's the brother of former Auburn and now Oregon quarterback Bo Nix, and he's going to join the quarterback room at Clemson moving forward. Speaking of Clemson athletics, the Clemson women's basketball team, they lose to Pitt on Thursday night in overtime by a 78-73 score. They back at it on Sunday when they will host Georgia Tech. The South Carolina women's basketball team, they have no problem at defeating number 24 Mississippi on Thursday, 69-40 the final score. They will play.
Every time I lower the blinds, the sun goes down, and then I bring him back. I'm just going to take a chance that there's enough cloud cover, even though the sun is completely right now.
Sunday, it's the championship round of the NFL playoffs as we bring you a special doubleheader. Hi, this is Scott Grant. Join me and the rest of our Westwood One crew for all the action. First, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs host Joe Burrow and the Bengals in the AFC title game. Then, two division rivals battle each other for the NFC Championship when the Rams take on the 49ers. Who will advance to Super Bowl 56 in Los Angeles? Hear the playoff picture unfold right here.
Sunday afternoon at 2 on your home for the NFL playoffs. ESPN Upstate.
And check this out. World official Brown Love. Yeah. Unfiltered sports talk.
The third, the final, the best, the money hour of the Rob Brown Show goes now. This is ESPN Upstate. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. Appreciate you joining us. Lonzo, you know, I feel like it's only fair that when I beat up on an entity, that I give them credit when they do something good. Even if I think they stumbled blindly into it, right? If I think it was against their will, they still did something right. The Jacksonville Jaguars have, according to reports, released general manager Trent Baalke and decided to go in a different direction. This is a good decision. Baalke is out, and reportedly, longtime Cardinals reporter Mike Jurecki is reporting that Cardinals executive Adrian Wilson will become the next general manager, which means that Baalke is likely out. Now, timing events is interesting. Up until about Wednesday late afternoon, it was expected that Byron Leftwich would be announced in the next few days as the next head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Of course, a good chunk of Byron Leftwich's legacy comes from his time as a quarterback of the Jags. So this would be an interesting little fit. He knows that city. He knows what the culture is, et cetera, et cetera. Baalke apparently ended up in a contract dispute with Byron Leftwich. So a guy that Jacksonville wanted, that Jacksonville was excited about, a trendy young coach that has been pulling all the right strings in Tom Brady's offense for the past couple of years, was going to get a shot. And then they couldn't come to terms on a contract. And so then all of a sudden, the Jags are interviewing new coaches, and it looks like Leftwich is out of the discussion at that point. A day later, the Jags, if this report is true, decides to move on from Trent Baalke. And, I thought, let me go look up what Trent Baalke has done as a GM in the league. Check this out, Lonzo. In 2014, Trent Baalke took over as the general manager of the San Francisco 49ers. Now, the Niners had been respectable in the early 2010s. In the first year that he took over as the GM, the San Francisco 49ers went 8-8. But in that 8-8, Trent Baalke ended up basically getting into a headbutting war with then head coach Jim Harbaugh. Harbaugh was relieved of his duties at the end of the year by Trent Baalke. The very next year, defensive line coach Jim Tomsula took over as the head coach in 2015. In 2015, Jim Tomsula's 49ers went 5-11. Jim Tomsula was fired at the end of the year. The very next year, Chip Kelly, yes, that one, took over as the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. In that year, Chip Kelly's 49ers went 2-14, and Chip Kelly was fired at the end of the year. So 3 years as a general manager in San Francisco, and in 3 years, Trent Baalke fired 3 head coaches.
And this dude got a job somewhere else?
He actually worked for the next couple of years inside the National Football League for the actual overall NFL as a consultant. Cool, I guess. Then in 2020, Trent Baalke was hired as the GM for the Jacksonville Jaguars. In his first year as the GM, and maybe you don't put this all on him, but that's fine. I think it still deserves to be noted. In his first year as the GM of the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Jags went 1-15, and Doug Marrone was fired. Second year, Trent Baalke hires Urban Meyer, who went 3-14, and of course was fired midway through the season. Now, I want to play a little home edition here, Lonzo. Let's see if you can do quick math. No calculator allowed here.
Can I use my fingers and toes?
And you can take your shoes off and use your toes if you need to.
All right.
All right. In his first year, he won 8 games. In his second year, he won 5 games. I'm bad mathematically, but 8 plus 5 is 13, correct?
Yeah, 13.
Super. In his third year as a GM, he won 2 games. That brings the total up to 15.
15.
Good. In his fourth year as a GM, his team won 1 game. Where does that put us at now?
16.
Super duper. And in his last year as the GM, he won 3 games. Where does that put us at now?
19.
Super, 19. Now, I'm not going to ask you to do these numbers in your head, Lonzo. But in those same years, he lost 8, he lost 11, he lost 14, he lost 15, and he lost 14. He won 19, Zoe. He won 19, and he lost 62 games as a general manager. 62 games, which means that Trent Baalke as a GM has a winning percentage of 30%. Now, I might be crazy here, Zoe, but if you had somebody working under you who was successful 30% of the time, if you're a Major League Baseball batter, that gets you in the Hall of Fame. But in any other job, if you were successful 30% of the time, do you know what the name for you is?
Fired.
Unemployed. Correct.
You're fired.
Not bad.
I'm not doing it because I don't want to lose my voice.
Oh, fair, also fair. The Jags just made a good decision, ladies and gentlemen. They just made a good decision. I'm only bringing this up to give them credit because I crap on them all the time. I'll give them credit. This was a good decision, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk AFC Championship game for just a few minutes. The Kansas City Chiefs have purchased more fireworks to stick in the end zone because they keep running out after maybe the best playoff game we've ever seen, with the exception of a terrible ending. By the way, do you know, Lonzo?
This was not a terrible ending if you're a Chiefs fan. I mean, you can keep saying it was a good ending.
Terrible ending
Chiefs
if
are
you
victorious.
are not a fan of either of those teams, right? You know who came out, by the way, on Wednesday and said that they agreed that it was a disappointing ending to that game?
Someone with the power to change it?
Close. Andy Reid.
Yeah, I know. Because back in the day, they wanted the rules changed because they missed out when they could have been going to the Super Bowl and Tom Brady went instead because D Ford jumped off sides.
Yup.
And it went into overtime.
Sure did. Sure did. Anyway, after one of the best games we've ever seen between the Chiefs and the Bills, the Chiefs survive, advance, move on. That's all you do in the NFL playoffs.
They did not
and advance.
survive. They did not survive. They won. It was a hard-fought contest.
That's surviving.
Survive makes it sound like you weren't supposed to win.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does.
It doesn't.
I'm as someone wearing a Chiefs championship shirt right now, I'm offended by the survive word.
If a tiger fights another tiger, and one of those tigers lives and the other dies, the one that moved on is a survivor. And they've got the eye of the tiger.
Your analogies frighten me sometimes.
Thrill of the fight. They rised up to the challenge of their rival. All right.
They didn't rise up to the challenge. They were already there. The rival tried to rise up to their challenge.
Listen, the last known survivors made his way in the night, and we know it's because they've got the eye of the tiger. All right, so Chiefs hosting Joey B and the Bengals. We've already done the whole conversation about Joe Burrow saying,
wait a minute, Bengals, Tigers. Okay, I get it now.
Joey B said that the SEC is louder than the NFL. He's ready for this. You know what I think that is? I think it backfired on him a bit, but I think that is just Joe Burrow effectively trying to kind of raise confidence in himself, right? It's one of those things. You ever said something to somebody and they look at you and they go, Lonzo, are you trying to convince you or me? You're trying to convince me or yourself?
I think you look at me daily that way, but that's fine, because, you could be right.
So the Joey B says the SEC is louder. I'm mentally no issues. I had to tell you.
I want to mention that I've seen a sign that they're showing several times of a guy in the Chiefs crowd showing the 104.2 decibel or whatever it is.
144.
Yeah. So showing that. So it is a thing. It's going.
Yeah, you done made it a thing, Joey B. I know what you were trying to do. It backfired, but you're trying to do. That being said, I'm intrigued by Joey B in this scenario, right? Because last week he said, my headset went out, I had to call my own place. Okay. I'm going to elect to believe that, right? I'm going to elect to believe that. He's absolutely going to have a hard time hearing this week. Communication will not be on his side. Unlike Jimmy G, who gets the benefit of effectively playing a de facto home game against LA. Joey B has set himself up to where communication is going to be a major issue when he's got the football. That being said, this is going to be tough. Oh, Texter just said, your math is off. 19 and 62 is 23%. Yeah, you're right. I screwed the pooch there. I divided it by the 62 instead of the total amount of games because I, Lonzo, and this is scientifically proven, am an idiot. So thank you, Texter. He has a 23% winning percentage.
I cannot correct because I can do simple math, but when we're getting percentages, I'm out.
So thank you. Thank you, Texter. You corrected me. Trent Baalke has a 23% winning percentage. Well done. All right. Cincinnati has to do something different in this game that they did not do last game, right? Tennessee's defensive line, 8 the Bengals offensive line for lunch. All right. 8 for lunch. Cincinnati late in that game had a massive problem. And the massive problem was the fact that they were absolutely not running anything quick. Everything was down the field. Send Jamar and everybody else down the field and let Joey be chunky. But the problem is those plays take 3.5, 4 seconds to develop. And Joe Burrow wasn't getting that. He still made a couple of plays because he's good at quarterbacking. But Joey B didn't have time to develop those plays the way I would have liked to. Now, I'm not saying that Joe B can't make the quick reads or that they need to change the offense entirely to quick reads because the number one weakness of the Kansas City Chiefs, if I told you had to give me a weakness, Lonzo, mine for Kansas City is susceptible to the deep ball occasionally. They start to play aggressive at the line and you beat the Chiefs deep. We've already seen Joey B do it.
Which is so weird because that defense has to practice against an offense
that does that.
That does that. Yes. maybe kind of punch drunk about it and they're just kind of a little scared. I don't. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't know. They're susceptible to the deep ball. Joey B is the king of the deep ball this year. Jamar Chase is the king of. Jamar Chase is the closest thing anybody's got to Tyreek freaking Hill. He's down there somewhere, and he's probably behind him if he gets the streak run down the side. The only problem that the Bengals have is that, against Tennessee anyway, more often than not, Joey B didn't have time to find him behind the defense. So what I need Cincinnati to do, aside from the offensive line blocking better, that's the key to this game, right? Aside from their offensive line blocking better, I need Cincinnati to redesign that offense just a little bit. I'm not saying don't go deep. I'm saying you better run some crossing routes. You better have some quick hits. You better have some 5 and ins. You better have some 5 and outs. You better have some seam routes. You better have some throws that Joey B can make quickly that make Kansas City's linebackers stay in place. If they vacate on a blitz, you need to have somebody crossing to find that zone and hit it. Because if you get to the point where all you're doing is throwing deep and you let Kansas City pin the ears back and come after you, they're going to score more than Tennessee did, and you will lose.
We know that Kansas City loves to blitz, and they're going to do that. But the other thing is, Burrow hangs onto the ball too long, and that's been a problem. I think some of the sacks are not the offensive line's problem. He's just hanging on too long. And is it because he has such confidence in himself, has too much swagger, or is it because he's indecisive? So if it's indecisive, those shorter routes, is he going to struggle with that because he has to hit them too quick and he's trying to hit all his reads? I don't know. All I know is it was a scoring fest last time these two teams played. It's probably going to be again Sunday. Even despite being sacked so many times, it's still going to be more than likely a high-scoring game on both sides.
Oh, I think this is a shootout. Lonzo, this game might end in the upper 40s, right? Like 49-45. It's a shootout. Kansas City's susceptible to the deep ball, and you can run on Cincinnati. Absolutely susceptible to an upper 40s score on both sides of the scoreboard. If you're the Chiefs, do not let Joe Burrow have time to develop plays. The longer he has to develop plays, the better chance those streaky receivers are going to. And again, Joey B's accurate. And frankly, Jamar Chase doesn't need a ton of space. He can make some really difficult catches. This could be very interesting. On the flip side, if you are Patrick Mahomes and you are the Chiefs, understand you're in another shootout. Lonzo, Kansas City, I don't think can come into this game and go, we're going to ride Clyde, right? We're going to let Clyde carry the ball 30. You got to understand you are in another shootout. If you are Kansas City, Lonzo, attack this game the exact way that you had to attack the Bills in the second half. Be aggressive, go down the field, make sure Cincinnati stays on their heels, and try to be the first team to 45, because that might be what wins this. I'll go on the record first. I'm taking Kansas City. If this game's in Cincinnati, you could talk me into taking Joey B. I like Joey B. For Lonzo's sake, I'm not going to outright say the Bengals are the team I'd like to see because of the drama.
You can. Go ahead. I'm good.
I like the Bengals. They're a fun team to watch. But Kansas City's a better team overall. And being in Kansas City, I genuinely think, Zoe, there are probably 5, maybe 6 stadiums in the NFL that I think truly present a home field advantage. I think Seattle's one. I think New Orleans is one. I think that Buffalo is one. And I know Arrowhead is one. One of the 4 or 5 that present a true home field advantage. That's what takes Kansas City over the edge. And I am going to go high scoring game. Give me 45-40. Kansas City wins at the house.
Wow. I wonder, will that game go into overtime, do you think?
I doubt it.
All right, we know who I'm picking. And yeah, there's bias involved, but this is a really good team that's been to this game. This is the 4th year in a row and has went to the Super Bowl a couple of those times and has the opportunity to do it again. The moment will not be too big for Kansas City. I wonder, and I worry that the moment will be too big for Cincinnati. If the turnaround is phenomenal, what the coach has done there, with what Burrow has done here, Jamar Chase, all those guys, what they've been able to do in just a couple years is amazing. But it's one thing to beat a team during the regular season. It's another when you realize what's on the line. You win this game, you go to the Super Bowl. I do think it's going to be a high-scoring game. But as we learned last week, don't leave any time on the board because Kansas City can score with just about any scenario. So I'm going Kansas City, but I'm going to go 42-40 Kansas City.
42-40. So we both got it in the low 40s. It might go to the high 40s. It might. But both of us ride with Kansas City. So we're split on the NFC. I'm taking the Rams. Lonzo taking the Niners. And we both think Kansas City wins in the AFC. We will break those down for you on Monday. And keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that both of those games can be heard live in real time right here on ESPN Upstate. So if you're up, you're out, about, you're working this weekend, you can't be in front of a TV on Sunday, worry not, because we got you covered. Both games live, start to finish, right here on ESPN Upstate. Let's take a break. We'll come back in a minute. Faces and Heels when we come back on The Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate.
It is. Either it's warm in here or I'm feverish. I don't know which.
Download the Score app today. Lightning fast sports alerts so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. With your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, I'm Matt Pauley.
One Upstate radio station is your home for the NFL playoffs. It's ESPN Upstate. It's time for Championship Summit. This week's football's coverage kicks off at 2 p.m. as Joe Burrow and the upstart Cincinnati Bengals head to Kansas City.
The upstart Cincinnati Bengals.
Featuring two West Coast powerhouses as the San Francisco 49ers head to LA to lock horns with the Rams. The winners are headed to the Super Bowl. Hear every play of the NFL playoffs, including Super Bowl 56, only on ESPN Upstate.
If you're looking for a new job with great pay and benefits, Auto Kineton is for you. Formerly Tower International, Auto Kineton is hiring with a $500 to $2,000 sign-on bonus. They are looking for second and third shift production technicians with starting pay at $16.80 an hour, and maintenance technicians with starting pay of $32.50 an hour. Rate increases after 90 days. Don't miss their hiring events every Thursday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at 149 Southeast Boulevard at Fountain Inn.
So if you shoot a shot that's beautiful and someone doesn't see it, is it still beautiful? Although Rob stopping his phone from being destroyed right there was more amazing than the shot that I made, I gotta say.
We'll get Kevin in here and then start.
I mean, I can do that if that's what you want.
I don't know. What do you think?
That would make more sense, but I didn't want to make more sense.
Yeah, let's get Kevin in and then we'll go there.
Because, I was just hoping
Trying
that
to delay the
segment
segment.
would be skipped. So, yeah, I got to. So my perfect scenario is we play the intro and you say we're going to get Kevin in real quick, and then suddenly the Kevin's call goes really long, and then we can't get to the actual segment because the call went really long, and we'll have to go to break. And now we're just going to.
Kevin's good. He can be on.
Yeah, no, Kevin's going to take the segment long, and we're not going to do faces and heels.
No,
it's going to happen.
But when I do this, don't let it ride because you don't want to do the segment.
We do have another segment after it, so it isn't like we wouldn't be able to do it then.
All right, before we start faces and heels, Kevin's called in, and callers go first on the show. So let me get Kevin in here, talk a little football. Kevin, welcome back, big fella.
What up, fellas? Big L, what's going on, man?
Loving a Friday, that's what's going on.
Loving a Friday, man. You got to love a Friday, man, because, you got a job, but you ain't got nothing to do tomorrow but chill out. So, take advantage, full advantage of it, man. Take advantage, man. Take advantage. But let me tell y'all about this drama that's going down in the NFL this weekend. So, 49ers, Rams, hometown, Debo, let's go, baby.
Debo's the X Factor. Debo's the X Factor. The question is Debo the X Factor because they can't trust Jimmy Garoppolo in big spots, Kevin? That's my only question here is Jimmy G's been good enough? Is he good enough this weekend?
Hey, man. Every game in this playoff, Jimmy G has tried his best to give it to the other team. Like, tried his best to give it to him. So if he hasn't had a good game in the play, he's done, like you say, he's done enough. But I feel like he's about to come out hot. Out of 4 games, you got to have one hot game. And I feel like this is about to be it. But the drama of this game is it's going to overtime. And guess what? The 49ers is going to kick a field goal to tie it up as time is running out of overtime. You can't have a tie, so guess what? They got to figure out something else to do.
We'll find out. What you got in the AFC?
The 49ers AFC, I want Cincinnati to do it, man. I want Cincinnati. Just because I'm an upset guy and I want to see some different stuff in championship game. I get tired of seeing the same team go and you keep showing how good you are. And yeah, Tom Brady got what he got. Yeah. But I want to see somebody else do it. I want to see some difference. I want to see Cincinnati and, of course, San Francisco. Even though San Francisco just went there a few years ago. But I just want to see Cincinnati and San Francisco do this thing. All that young talent, and it's all coming about young players in the league now. That's a lot of young talent on that field. Both of them teams can get there.
Good enough, Kevin. Appreciate you, fella. Good to talk to you, man. Thanks for checking in. 844-GSP-ESPN. Your phone lines are welcome. Your phone calls are welcome as well. You want to take the break and then just do it in the next segment, Zoe, or you want to start it now? And
we can do it now. I just want to say really quick, on behalf of the Kansas City Chiefs fans and the Alabama fans, I don't get what all the hate is about.
All right, let's just, I'll tell you what, let's just jump into it. What do you say? Faces and Heels, where Alonzo and I take a look at a couple of socially ambiguous situations and try to determine who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. Let's take a look at it. We start with this one, Lonzo. Let's do a sports one. We rarely get a sports one in here. 39-year-old man has a son named Colt. Colt's a 14-year-old basketball player. He says he's very good, like really good. Started his freshman season as the best player on the junior high team, and the varsity coach called him up to be a reserve player on varsity. He says that he and his ex were engaged when they were 24. They were happy until they learned that she couldn't have kids. He always wanted kids on his own. It ended up being the issue that split them apart. Had the kid, and now his kid is playing basketball. He said, at first I didn't bring anything up with her husband. The ex's husband is now Colt's coach, right? Small town basketball, baby. Said, assume we were all old enough now that things were in the past, but from the first game, I've been wrong. Colts has barely played all season. He went from starting a year ago and leading the team in points to not playing at all. After about 5 games, I went to the coach's office. He said Colt needed to have a better attitude and be more consistent. He said, I asked the coach specifically what his advice would be, and the coach gave some, quote, BS non-informative answer, end quote, and then I knew that my ex was doing this. So I went to the school's AD, laid out the situation. He said he was shocked because he knew Colt was a good player and it didn't make sense. Basically says the AD started watching the game and the AD fired the coach. Now the ex is mad. The current girlfriend is mad because she feels like he overstepped the boundary and didn't let Colt learn the lessons of being frustrated of being a bench player, etc. He says, am I the jerk for getting the coach fired when he's clearly benched my son on drama and not performance?
No, he is the face, and here's the reason why. I mean, this could have turned out differently. It could have turned out that he's just being typical sports dad. But obviously there's some validity to his accusations, or the coach wouldn't have been fired, because the athletic director could have watched the games and went, nah, this guy's he just wants his son to play. I mean, all those, well, my first thought is, are they all related, which is like a totally different story and would end up in West Virginia or Kentucky or somewhere. You're trying to find a joke there. You'll get it eventually. He's the dad is the face, and the fact that other people, if the ex is upset, who cares? Now I am a little confused though. Who's the actual mom? Is the ex the mom?
The ex is the mom.
Okay, so you can look at.
Sorry, the current girlfriend is the mom.
Okay, Forget
So
that.
he left the first girl because she couldn't have kids. He went and had a kid.
What
then
is it?
Then he got back together with the first woman, who is now the ex, left her again, and went back to the mom of the basketball player. So he's been with both of these women 2 different times. First with the ex, then with the new girl to have the kid, then back to the ex, then back to the girl he had the kid with.
Really, what this is all about, this is about the kid more than anything. And the kid was, there are life lessons that sometimes, you might be the best and you'll get treated a certain way and won't get to excel. True. But in this case, the dad's the hero to that kid because he saw that he was being wronged and he was right. And he went and he took action. He didn't get the guy fired. The coach who had him not playing got himself fired by doing that.
Yeah, I agree. If the AD hadn't gotten as involved as he did,
right,
that's when I'd go, are you sure you're not just being the dad who's like, my kid's great, why isn't he playing? Because I've been around those guys, right? Like I used to coach Little League ball, and I've had I had one coaching baseball, as a matter of fact, had one parent who every game was like, why isn't my kid pitching? Why isn't my kid pitching? Why isn't my kid pitching? And the reason was because your kid stinks and he's not a pitcher. He's a good little role player. I put him out in right field and he's a good little outfielder, but he was a terrible pitcher. So after a while, Lonzo, I literally had to tell this dad, because your son's not a good pitcher. And I'm not going to put a bad pitcher out there. The dad went and complained to the Little League director, whatever. And the guy came to me, was like, are you sure it's for another? I was like, kid's not a good pitcher. Ultimately, Zoe, I decided that the best way to handle it, I'll let his kid pitch.
Was to let him pitch and let everyone.
He got shelled in that game. And this was not like a...
Did he blame it on the coaching?
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Well, if you coach him to be a better pitcher. No. He's not good. All my other pitchers were good. Yours isn't. He got shelled. And the thing that sucked was I had to let that little kid get absolutely shellacked and embarrassed to prove a point to make his dad stop. Because the dad would do this openly at practice, right? This wasn't like calling me and being like, hey, Rob, can I talk to you about this away from the team? No, he'd do it at practice. All right, dude. You went Georgie to get shelled. I'll let it happen. All right. Here's an interesting one, Zoe. 25-year-old lady lives with a 27-year-old lady. She says that she gets up to use the restroom 2 to 3 times per night. All right. She's got a small bladder. She said that we live in an older apartment. It's got older plumbing. And when I flush the toilet, that it makes quite a bit of noise, right? Throughout the whole apartment, because it's just old plumbing. She said, my roommate has requested that I either stop using the restroom at night or not flushing the toilet when I go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. Just get up and flush it in the morning. She says that she claims that when she uses the restroom, the odor from the leftovers would come into my bedroom. So I have to flush the toilet at night, but I do it 2-3 times a night. The roommate has said, please stop flushing the toilet at night because you wake me up every time you do because the plumbing is loud. This one's a tough one, Lonzo. Is she a heel for using the restroom and not being willing to save it and flush it all down in the morning? Or does the roommate need to be under more understanding that, hey, when you got to go, you got to go?
First of all, if you are just going number one, why does it smell so bad? That, I mean, what are you doing? That's what I want to know. What's the dot? It should just be water waste, and it shouldn't smell so bad that it wafts into the. So I think you're a heel for not wanting to wait till the morning to flush.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I'll tell you, I get up to pee like once or twice a night easy, right? And so when
nobody here is surprised.
I know, right? When I stay at the lady friend's house, right, and I got to go in the back, I will get up and go to the bathroom on the other side of the house because I don't want to wake her up flushing the toilet because she otherwise would sleep through it. This woman has her own private bathroom. What else do you want her to do? I agree. I would definitely go find out why. Texter says, if it's yellow, let it mellow. Not a big deal. She's a heel. By the way, beautifully constructed text.
That's awesome. That really is.
Constructed text. But no, I would absolutely say that the lady who's going to the bathroom is the heel in this situation. They make a product, Alonzo, called Poopery, and it works like a charm. You spray it before you go, and then again after you go, and it seals in the odors. Works like a dream. I've got it on hand both at the girlfriend's house and at my apartment. Get you some Poopery and just flush it all in the morning. You're the heel. Absolutely.
Yeah. Does it make a sound when you spray it though?
Yeah, it's just a little spritz bottle.
Yeah, I know. Oh, it spritz.
Yeah, it's a little
okay,
spritz bottle.
spritz. That's different.
Yeah, it's absolutely it's a game changer here, ladies and gentlemen. She's the heel. All right, here's one more. 32-year-old man is engaged to a 34-year-old woman. They've been married for about a year. They've been dating for 3. She has a 12-year-old daughter from a previous relationship. She says that his fiance and her ex, who is the child's father, have a good co-parenting relationship. Says, I'm not worried about her like cheating on me, but on Sundays, they go have family dinner. The dad, the mom, and the kid, while the current fiance is just left to his own devices. He says, I'm not insecure about it. I'm not worried about it. He goes, it's a little weird that she's like, no, Sunday, every Sunday is for me, my kid, and the kid's dad. And it's like from Sunday at like 4 p.m. until nighttime, they go do a separate thing, right? He says, I'm not invited. They want it to just be their family. I'm not allowed to be there. He said, so instead, on Sundays, he goes and he hangs out with his buddies. He said the wife started asking him, what do you do on Sundays when I'm with the ex and the daughter on family night? And he told her, don't worry about it. Because literally all he does is go to his buddies, play Xbox, and partake in recreational leaf burning, if you get my drift. He said, don't worry about it. I'm not doing anything. I'm not cheating on you. But you don't need to worry about where I am. You're off doing your own thing. Who's the face? Who's the hero here, Zoe?
Well, first of all, you should share everything. It sounds like they're both trying to be, well, the guy sounds like he's being vindictive to a certain degree. You're not telling me what you're doing, so I'm not telling you what I'm doing. And I think the better move for him is to tell her exactly what he's doing. And that would put everything on her, including the guilt that should be there. But in the other sense, it's good to have a father in the life of a child, even though the father is not completely in their lives anymore. And I think it's commendable that they're doing that. But it is weird that she's not letting him know what they do other than go out to eat.
She is a mega nuclear ultra heel here.
I haven't said who, but you go ahead.
No. Okay. Am I wrong?
Yeah, she's the heel.
Okay. All right.
She absolutely is the heel. She wants to be able to do things her way, but she wants him to do things her way also. Yeah.
Here's the thing. If you have got a man in your life who's like, I love you, and I know it's not my daughter, but I'm going to treat her like she is, and wants to be part of the life, then you bring him to that dinner too, right? Like, it's fine, and it's good that you leave dad in the picture. If you have a good enough relationship that you and your ex can co-parent, great. That's awesome. But if you are going to bring new guy into a relationship with you and your daughter, you have got, they're engaged. This is not like we just started dating and she does it. That would be a different story. But y'all are engaged, right? What you are setting up here is a situation where daughter does not recognize stepdad as anything other than mom's boyfriend. And it is going to cause you tons of problems down the line, right? I'm not saying you can't have time with just actual dad, but you're creating landmines here between stepdad and daughter. But more importantly than that, if you are just saying, we have family night, you're not invited, we're going to dinner, and that's the end of it, why is it cool that you get to go off with this other guy and do your own thing, but he's a bad guy for going to smoke weed and play video games and not tell you where he is? No. He's doing that to prove the point. You either make him part of the activity, you describe elaborately what's going on and where you are, or you don't get to worry about what he is. You don't get it both ways. She's a mega heel.
You need to bring him along so he stays off the weed.
She said, no, I mean, dude, if he wants to burn some leaves, let him burn some
But
leaves. He ain't hurt nobody.
if he's there with you, he's not
Absolutely.
doing that.
If it bothers you that he's doing that, then invite him. Otherwise, get off his case. Texas says she's the heel, but the guy's an absolute moron for not getting out of there 3 months into that relationship. No, I mean, look, if you're just dating a girl and she's got a kid and they spend time with the dad. That is what it is. You either are comfortable with that or you're not. But once it's become we live separate lives from stepdad, that's where it's the problem. Michigan J. Todd says, our family rule for the nighttime bathroom visit was if it's yellow, let it mellow. If it's brown, flush it down. And I think that's pretty universal, right? Quick break. Come back. Wrap it all up on the Rob Brown Show, ESPN Upstate.
Silverstar Ultra Bulbs. They have the furthest down road light, and right now you can get a $10 AutoZone gift card by mail or email when you buy 2. Visit one of our 6,000 stores or order from AutoZone.com for same-day store pickup and next-day delivery.
You're not here yet?
And with the way things have been going,
I can jump over there for a segment if you don't make it. That don't matter, man.
Indeed, you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Jackson Hewitt needs you to know 3 things about filing taxes.
still got 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Thousands of dollars worth of tax credits on the table. 2, you have to file a claim to make sure you get the right amount. 3, a Jackson Hewitt tax pro will help track down every credit you deserve. Tax credits for being a parent, taking care of a parent, going to school, and so much more. You don't want to miss out on thousands. Jackson Hewitt knows that. Discover thousands of tax credits and get your biggest refund guaranteed. Learn more at jacksonhewitt.com.
Hewitt Friends Fair. We put together a completely exhaustive list of essentials that will bring everyone together on game day. Number 1.
You know, I have that I've had several days where I've got everything done and I'm thinking that I'm going to be able to do something. And every time I do, I'm here till after 7. That's my concern.
Yeah. Lonzo, there's another potential winter storm coming.
Yeah, tonight.
Tonight?
There's a mix of snow and rain tonight, but it's not supposed to be
rain.
a big deal.
rain.
I don't know what you're getting excited about.
So it's rain. Thought we were going to have another snow day.
Cameron is reminding me that Vox Machina came out today.
I watched 3 episodes last night. It's so
Did you?
good.
Okay. All right.
It's fun.
All right.
It is. I will tell you, it is dirty, and there is like, no, it's not dirty, but there is like.
Dude, I'm watching Peacemaker. There's no way, and you haven't watched
Fair
Peacemaker
enough.
yet.
No, I
Trust me, there's no way it could be worse than that.
It's good. I like it a lot. It'd be better if you like watch the YouTube, like them playing, because you'll get it. But it's great. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the week is almost over. Rob Lonzo, the Rob Brown Show rolls on. If you want to be a part of the show, 844-GSP-ESPN. Text is 71307. Start your text with ESPN. Why can't I say ESPN? And we'll read it on the air.
Because you're really close to saying ESPN.
ESPN. Want to remind you 2 things. Number 1, keep in mind, live playoff coverage on Sunday. Both the AFC and NFC Championship games will be broadcast live every snap from bell to bell right here on the Big Stick. So if you're out there driving a truck, you're working on the weekends, not in front of a TV, don't worry. We got you covered. You just tune it into ESPN Upstate and hear both of those games play-by-play from start to finish. Also, I want to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, that the BetQL Giving Props Contest is going on right now. Go to BetQL.com/props and get yourself signed up all the way through the Super Bowl. Every playoff game, BetQL posts 10 prop bets. The picker that goes to BetQL.com/props and correctly predicts the most prop bets is going to win $2,000. And by playing, you are entered into a random grand prize drawing of $10K. ladies and gentlemen. Just go to betql.com/props, PROPS, and get yourself entered to play and entered to win. It's just that simple. betql.com/props. Joe Giglio from BetQL will join us again next Tuesday. Let's do this. I want to have a little fun. Let's go out. Let's come back. And let's have ourselves a regular standard length Twitter trending topics to call it a day on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. DK Metcalf just tweeted, Lonzo, should be a crime to serve calamari with no ranch.
Okay, so it's automatic. It's so scary. I have had calamari a couple times, but like years apart to the point where I don't know what's supposed to be served with calamari.
Marinara.
So I'm not the guy, is what I'm saying. But I could tell that you were deeply offended by it. So
Texter just responded, "Ah, yes, ranch. I also like eating my Cheerios with a side of honey nut mustard."
I don't know. Come on, that's not similar. I'm a fan of ranch, so
ranch is not a calamari.
I'm also a fan of foods that taste good without having to dip it into anything. Can you eat calamari without marinara? Can you eat calamari just on its own? Is it what we're talking about?
Calamari is.
Okay, I don't know if it can. Again, I've only had it a couple of times.
There are ways.
I do love going Squidward.
There are ways to season your breading for a fried food that makes the breading better, but any breading is going to default be dry and crunchy, which means you dip it in something. Like I can eat fried cheese sticks without marinara, but I don't elect to.
By the way, I had some cheese sticks yesterday, and I forget the company that made them, but the breading had such good flavor that I didn't need to dip it in anything.
It can be done, but it's tough.
This was really good. It was surprising.
You know what we have not done in 3 weeks? On Friday? Fanboy Friday. I just completely blanked on it.
I was going to say, if you want to put it on me to make sure that you do these segments that you have scheduled, I can do that. It's real easy. I just have the intro in.
Yeah,
I'm an
idiot.
It's up to you.
Remind me.
Okay.
I need to remind myself because, again, it literally has Friday in the name.
It does. It does.
I just forgot about it since the new year. Unbelievable.
Yeah, because you'd be freaking out about Vox Machina, and
yeah,
which you still could do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's your show.
It's trending, right?
Yeah, well, sure, it is. By the way, the D has arrived, so I'm good. That's what he calls himself.
The D train.
It changed my life. I used to spend a ridiculous amount of time trying to remove tomato sauce from inside our microwave and soap scum off the bathtub. It's like seriously magic, and my secret weapon for cleaning the kitchen, bathroom, doors, and walls, and even keeping my sneakers clean. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser. Greatest invention ever.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser, the unicorn of cleaning.
Why does Walgreens offer copays as low as $0 and 90-day refills? Because we care about Medicare, so we don't have to.
So since you told me that, Cameron's text makes a little more sense because he's asking, do we want to watch it together or separate, which means he might be concerned about watching it with me because there are times trust me, with Peacemaker, there's some embarrassment.
Oh, I'm sure.
Which,
this one you'd be fine.
Which I take great pleasure in the fact that there's embarrassment. Yeah.
No, this one you'd be fine.
We haven't caught up on Peacemaker. We're still 2 episodes behind because we can't watch more than 1 episode at a time.
So I forgot that I had canceled my HBO Max subscription back in like December 1st of last year. So I got to get back into HBO now. Keegan had let me borrow his for a while because I watched not Mortal Kombat. What was the other HBO exclusive that came out last year that we all watched? Harley Quinn. Oh, me.
You mean Suicide Squad?
Do what?
Was it Suicide Squad or was it?
No, it was the Harley Quinn animated series.
Oh, that thing.
Yeah.
You probably shouldn't admit to that, live on the internet, but that someone let you borrow their subscription.
That's my friend Zegan.
All right, time for Twitter trending topics. And the first thing trending, because Rob is going crazy about it, is Vox Machina.
So for those of you who don't know, because I left my shame in 2014.
There's no need for shame. But, I think we're loud and proud. Nerddom.
Yeah.
We don't need to hide anymore. Okay,
So
Rob.
I'm a D&D loser. I both play and DM. I was so good. So good. Oh, wow. Anyway, there is what got me into it a while back was a group called Critical Role. It's basically a bunch of voice actors. And if you've played any video games, these are the people who voice the characters. 2 of them, Zoe, voiced Thor, Captain America, and Black Widow in the Avengers game that we played not too long ago.
See, my son is into them as much as you are.
Oh, good.
So I'm surrounded by it. So
Yeah.
I know a lot about
So
it.
it's interesting because it's kind of a mix, right? Like the majority of us play D&D because we like the fight part, but these guys are all voice actors and television actors. Actually, one of them, Ashley Johnson, is a BAFTA winner. Like she's been on Broadway and in big plays, whatnot. Anyway, Amazon turned one of their campaign storylines into a animated series on Amazon Prime Video. They're fantastic. They're both great dramatic actors, but they're really funny as well. And the first 3 episodes actually dropped. They were supposed to drop today, but they dropped around 9:00 last night. They came out on a line early. I watched all 3 episodes last night, and it's spectacular.
What's
They
the
have done
length
such a
of
good
the
job.
episodes?
They are, I want to say 30-minute episodes, 30,
Okay.
maybe 40, somewhere in the ballpark, 35, 40 minutes. So they dropped the first 3, and I think they start next Friday, dropping an episode through the end. I want to say it's only like 9 episodes for the first season. But the story is based off one of their D&D campaigns, and it's a phenomenally well put together story. So I'm looking forward to finishing it up.
And I want to see it, but I'm interested in the art style because sometimes art styles really mess with me.
Yeah.
And what would you consider the art style? Is it more Hanna-Barbera? Is it more modern?
No,
Is
it's
it,
like it's not
is it more anime?
No, it's modern. It's not like full anime. It's kind of like in the middle of I would say like Americanized anime.
Okay.
But it's good. Again, I think that the dragons are very digital CGI, so they look cool too, but it's really well done.
All right, the next thing that's trending is Jake Paul.
I don't know why. I saw he was with Stephen A. Smith earlier, or at least there was a clip running
Yeah, that was
on
from
ESPN,
yesterday. That was from yesterday. It was
And he
actually pretty
like
good.
gets up out of his chair reacting to, I don't care.
That I believe is Logan Paul, but it can, this Jake.
They're all a blur of
Jake
TV.
Paul. His Dana White diss track.
Oh, I was just thinking about, I was thinking to myself earlier today. I'm like, what would make this day so much better if I got a Jake Paul hip hop track.
Yeah, we're gonna listen to
when
that.
I think hip hop, that's the guy I think of.
We'll be listening to that in 5 minutes in the office. All right, the next thing that's trending is Ronda Rousey.
Ronda Rousey trending. They're doing a coincidental timing. A big piece on her on ESPN. I saw Peyton's what's it called? Peyton's Places is doing a whatever short form with Ronda Rousey. I also saw an interview with Dana White with Ronda Rousey that ran on ESPN. Of course, ESPN very heavily connected to WWE the last couple of years, so it is growing the thought that Ronda Rousey may be a surprise entrance in the Women's Royal Rumble tomorrow evening. question mark.
And that's why she's trending. All right, one last thing.
Mountain Dew Baja Blast is underrated as a soda. All right, it's
Yeah,
good.
yeah, but now you're going to be able to drink it at your Super Bowl party.
Are we getting a boozy version?
Yes.
Ooh, what are they putting into? I mean, in fairness, any Baja Blast.
It looks
can
like
be,
I think it's like a hard thing.
Like a hard soda?
Yeah, I think so.
For the record, you can make any soda a hard soda with a bottle of booze.
Is that what makes it hard? Is the
It's booze,
alcohol?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
all
like
right.
hard cider, hard soda. It just means it's got booze in it. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for Lonzo and I for this week. Enjoy your conference championship game on Sunday. They'll be live right here on ESPN Upstate. We'll be back Monday to break them all down. Have a great weekend, everybody. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. For Lonzo, I'm Rob of the Rob Brown Show, ESPN Upstate. Later, brother. Thanks for watching Stream